Welcome back to Only Talk Sports or Sports Talk with Austin, wherever you are watching. We are here again. I wouldn't say as promised. We teased it. We acted like we were going to do it, but it wasn't completely as promised. But we are here delivering our Final Four predictions and our overview and review of the entire tournament at large. It's been a lot of crazy stuff. I don't know if we'll have any time to talk about like the portal or none of that as well, but I'm sure that some of that's going to get brought up too because there's been a ton of college basketball news lately. You even got the crown and the NIT, which some people really care about that, but March Madness is where it's at, and we're at the Final Four. We're at almost the end of the road. It's been a great tournament so far, but very predictable, which, a lot of people wouldn't expect. It's March Madness. You think more upsets, but definitely can't wait to get into it. Our Final Four picks haven't aged well. They definitely did not because we went with some upsets with our first live stream that we did a couple weeks ago, but still, we didn't do terrible. I know, wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. Could have been worse, but definitely can't wait to get into it and glad we were able to make this show happen.
Well, first off, I got to say this. Hey, Google, when does the NBA playoffs start? No, but in all seriousness, though, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll say this, like Jeffrey said, it was chalk this year. The four best teams made it out. Hopefully this is a one-off year because this is what makes March special. You never know who could win, but it happened. And as per our Final Four picks, well, you're going to see here in a minute because they were awful. Or at least mine was.
Yeah, I did a little bit better, but I didn't do good because, again, you usually don't pick all 4 1 seeds to make it all the way. I think from what I've heard, it's only happened one other time in history. So it's not common. It doesn't typically happen. And this time it did. So I'm sure some people predicted it because, of course, there's going to be some people that are like, yeah, I'm going to go with all 4 1s. Maybe some casual that never watches the games ever. And he just I'm picking the bracket. I'm going to pick all 4 1 seeds. You never know. Somebody could have done that. Obviously, they got a lot of other games wrong. No one can get the perfect bracket, but you can still get a ton of games wrong and still end up with the 4 1 seeds in the Final Four. But I would be willing to bet, not literally, but, that probably only 10 to 15% of brackets, maybe not even that many, picked all 4 1 seeds to go all the way. Because obviously a lot of people are going to be biased. They're going to pick their team to go all the way when realistically they're probably not. And other people, including me, I thought a couple upsets would occur. I thought that they would happen and they just did not. So definitely an interesting March Madness so far. I think overall, the games have mostly been good. There were some not great games. I think it was the first day of the round of 64 was probably one of the worst beginnings to a tournament in a long time. I wouldn't say I was bored, but the games kind of sucked. The games got better as it went along, the further we went along, but usually the round of 64 is a lot better. It was not as good this year to me. I didn't think, and I feel like because part of that was there was not a lot of upsets, which we're used to seeing, and those just generate excitement.
Well, the thing too is the NIL and portal, are ruining college football as we know it. And I kind of feel like we're getting that way with college basketball. And I hope this is just a one-off year. We don't have any more of this, hogging players and money. But I feel like that was part of it. Now, we can go down a whole rabbit hole about that, but we'd be here all night. I'm just going to say that's probably a big cause of it. The NIL and portal took over this year big time. It showed its effect.
Yeah, I think it did too. It's been trending that way, but because the last 3 to 4 years it's been instituted essentially where anyone can, use their NIL with whether it's donors or school funds, all this crazy stuff that I'm not, well versed enough. Because a lot of it, I wouldn't say it's shrouded, but it's kind of kept from us. We don't know exactly the extent of a lot of this stuff. We just you hear figures, you hear stuff, but you don't really know for sure. but it had been trending that way. But still, you didn't really see March Madness being affected by it. Like, you still had all the upsets, even if like last year you had Purdue, UConn in the national championship game. People are like, oh, those are the two best teams. Purdue is not a traditional, like power when it comes to money. Like, Zach Edey was a force, and then like the rest of their team was just okay.
Man.
Like Braden Smith he's a good guard, but like the rest of their team was just okay to me, right? Edey really carried them. So even though
Fletcher
people are like, oh, those are
Lloyd.
the two best teams, it doesn't feel like it does now. Like, to me, I think the bigger story, even more than the 4-1 seeds, is how 14 SEC teams got in the tournament. The SEC's never been good in basketball. And how many did, I would say, I guess when I was a kid, it was my favorite league because of North Carolina. But, our conference, the ACC, three teams got in legitimately, and one barely got in, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the ACC's typically getting 8, 9, 7, whatever teams in the tournament. Terrible year for the ACC. I know Duke, but they're the only great team. And the SEC's replaced that. And why is that? Has to be money, and there's no other reason. There is no other explanation for how Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and I know they got Chris Beard, but these teams, which we don't know, I have not even checked to see if he's gone to A&M or not. I have no idea, by the way.
I'm glad you brought that up. So he's not. He made an announcement earlier. He's staying.
I just saw earlier that I was floating around. It would have been the ultimate karma, though, because he was at Texas Tech and then Texas. If he went to Texas A&M, it's like, okay.
So
he's going to end up at Baylor next. Like, come on.
So they made an announcement earlier. He said he's staying. He feels like he's building a championship roster. He said he feels like this team could win the whole thing next year. And I know that's coach speak, but he truly believes investing in building an Ole Miss, which is good. We need more of that. We don't need people changing every year.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like you're seeing coaches too. I mean, they're getting fired quicker, and also they're jumping from school to school. Because you saw Darian DeVries, right? Like, he was at Drake, goes to West Virginia, he makes a statement. Oh, West Virginia, I could see myself being here a long, long time. People are happy. Like, he's going to build something in West Virginia. Bolts to Indiana a year later, which I hope he does great at IU, obviously, because I've been waiting for Indiana to win forever. But that sucks for West Virginia. And then you see Ben McCollum going from Drake to Iowa after 1 year. So they're jumping from team to team quicker than ever.
And think about this. There was rumors floating that Nate Oates was going to take the Maryland job.
God. And honestly, are you shocked Buzz Williams went there? I am. I'm actually shocked because Kevin Willard, and maybe my perception's just off because the SEC is just so, they got money. They're rich, right? Like they're loaded. Like A&M, we always joke that A&M's like the school that spends the most money and does the least with it, right? Because they do. Mm-hmm. But they got a ton of money. Like, he's getting compensated very well down there. And it's like Maryland just lost their coach to Villanova. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, Maryland couldn't keep their coach for Villanova. And I understand, I saw someone post and say, well, Villanova's got more titles. We got more wins. I don't care about that. It's like, on a, tier level, you got your blue bloods, Duke, Carolina, UConn now, I guess, UCLA, all that kind of stuff, Kansas, maybe Indiana, and then you're done, right? And then you got Louisville, Michigan State, like your next tier that are really, 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 really good. And then it's like Villanova's kind of there, and then Maryland's like right below that. So it's like we're talking this. You would think like if Kevin Willard was going to leave Maryland, he'd go to like UNC or something. I'm just throwing names out, but you know what I'm saying? Like Villanova, it's just it's not that big of a step up. And then you have Buzz Williams leaving A&M with tons of money and the SEC to go to Maryland. And I know he was at Virginia Tech. I don't know much about Buzz Williams. I don't know his background. I don't know where he's from. Maybe he's from Maryland. I don't know. But it doesn't make sense to me. It seems like a lateral move.
So here's the thing. The thing with Villanova is it's one of them things where ever since Jay Wright retired, they've been looking for the right guy, and they cannot find it. So, and here's the thing. And I even said this after Jay Wright retired. I don't envy anybody that's going to try to take that job. That's like after Coach K and Roy Williams left UNC and Duke respectively. I don't envy the next person that takes it. Now, fortunately for Coach K, he got to pick his replacement, and it's worked out pretty doggone well, like we're going to talk about here in a minute. UNC, I would say the replacement's been pretty good. I mean, Hubert Davis did take you to a national title game. He did take you to a Final Four and got a victory, so I would say it's worked out pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Hubert Davis, I don't think, fit and culture wise, it is bad. Like Mike Woodson, I mean, these hires are supposed to work, but they don't typically work. And Hubert Davis, when it comes to like scheming and X's and O's, I really hate that phrase. But, just the nitty gritty, like basketball coach, like mind, like, how to win, like, what to do with your team. Like, hey, this is how we're going to defend this game. Like, this team plays like this. We're going to defend like this. We're going to play on offense like this in this game. We're not going to do the same thing every game. Like, we're going to adjust, like, to them. I don't feel like Hubert Davis does that. Mike Woodson surely didn't do that. Mike Woodson was one of the most stubborn coaches I've ever seen. He would do the same crap over and over and over, just again and again. It never worked, and he kept doing it, and they kept losing. And then when it got to the point where, like, you're getting pushed out, man, like you're getting fired essentially to leave IU, now you make the adjustments, and you start winning. And it's like, if you had done that before, then you would still be at Indiana right now. And it's so frustrating. I don't think Hubert's like stubborn. I just don't think that he knows what to do sometimes. I don't think like he knows. It's a lot of it's roster construction. You see with the best coaches, they know how to put a roster together. Even in these changing times where it's hard to even keep players, they still know how to build a roster. North Carolina's roster was broken this past season. No true big. A bunch of just kind of rangy wings that outside of Drake Powell didn't shoot very well, couldn't rebound very well. And then UNC's backcourt was undersized. And then with Indiana, it was still the two big system and then a bunch of garbage guards and a terrible system. So they didn't learn.
And when I'll say this too, and then we'll get into the tournament recap, talk about some of the more important games. Last thing I'll say is with UNC, it was RJ Davis's team. If he was shooting the lights out, that team could play with anybody. But if he was having a stinker of a game, you all were screwed. Simple as that. Kind of like Caleb Love.
He did not have as good of a year this year as he had last year. I agree with that. But I do think Baycott helped. Like, Baycott was that constant down low. You had a big that was there. If RJ, was a little bit off, like maybe not putting up 30 and he has 20. Baycott was there. This year, you could not rely consistently on any big for Carolina. Withers, Washington, Van Allen, Lubin. It didn't matter who it was. None of them were consistent. None of them. And in some games, they all sucked. And that's when Carolina lost to Stanford. That's when Carolina almost lost to Boston College. That's when Carolina got blown out against Clemson. Like, those games are when those guys didn't show up and RJ didn't play as well. But even if RJ played well, they still wouldn't have won because those guys didn't step up. You have to have a constant down low, when your best player is a 6-foot guard. Like, you got to have some type of big. Like Auburn has a lot of small guards, but they got Broom. They got somebody down there. If you take out Broom, Auburn is significantly worse. Like, way, way worse. Like, you take out Cooper Flagg off Duke, they're still pretty good. But you take out Johnny Broom at Auburn, they stink.
And here's the thing, I experienced that firsthand. And I even said, I think would Duke be in the Final Four without Cooper Flagg? Possibly. But with him being there, it adds an extra dimension because Cooper Flagg is that talented. He's going to be a number one pick. He's going to be a franchise player for the Wizards, the Hornets, somebody. But the thing is, like you said, with Carolina, when you have no big to threaten you,
Mhm.
nobody fears your outside shooting because they're like, okay, we're just going to come out here and we're going to double you because we know you've got no center to throw it to, you've got no big man. We're basically going to make you take contested jumpers. You can't rebound. It's bad offense.
That's what
That's how
happened to
you lose.
Alabama against Duke. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they forced Sears off the 3-point line, and all of Sears' layups were contested by Malawatch, who's 7'2", and Sears missed every layup. So I agree. I mean, when you can run a guy off the 3-point line who's small, and then you have Duke's long. And that's why Duke Houston, which we're going to get to, is going to be interesting because both teams are long. But Duke's long, and they affected Alabama. Their length got to Alabama. I agree with you 100%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about it here because I do want to give you an in-depth breakdown. But if you're ready, Jeffrey, you ready to talk about the tournament?
Sounds great to me, man. I can't wait to get into it. I mean, it was can't believe we're already, like I said, we're almost done with this thing. It's been a very interesting tournament. Not a lot of upsets, but we had some. We had some minor upsets, but nothing super crazy. Definitely got to point out Jackson, though. Appreciate the super chat. He says, let's get Jeffrey to 3,000 subs and Austin to 1,000 subs. Also, we have 143 days until week 0 and 148 days into week 1 of the 2025 college football season. It's creeping up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love when you see the bottom of the screen. It's like 100 days to a college football. Like, you're getting close. So we're getting there. But definitely, if you are new to either my channel, Only Talk Sports, or Austin's channel, Sports Talk with Austin, definitely would appreciate a sub. Trying to build both of our channels, and definitely love talking sports with you guys. So definitely appreciate that. But thanks for the super chat, Jackson. But let's get into it.
Yes, thank you, Jackson, as always. Always a great contribution for both of us. And like Jeffrey said, we love doing this, and we hope to bring you more of it. So let's start out in the South. Obviously, Auburn took care of business. I mean, they beat Alabama State. You want a cookie?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this game, I feel like people were a little bit worried about Auburn after this game because I mean they blew them out, but they weren't,
Impressive.
it wasn't a super impressive win. It wasn't like Duke, so they only won by 20, but they handled business. So it's, like you said, nothing to really say. That next game though, Louisville Creighton. I picked Louisville. Man.
And I told, and not to cut you off, but I told you we were too small. Ryan Culprinter had a field day. Stephen Ashworth, that was our Achilles heel. We had no big, and we were able to get by in the ACC with it because in the ACC there really was no teams other than Duke and Clemson who had bigs. So we were able to get away with it a lot. And I knew when we matched up with Creighton, and I even picked Creighton to win, I knew it was going to be trouble from the start. I just knew it. And lo and behold.
I should have picked Creighton in hindsight because, I mean, I went like you did with a lot of the experienced coaches, which is why I had St. John's and Michigan State in my Final Four. But Greg McDermott is a very experienced coach, and he typically does not lose in the first round. So, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, should have picked them. I partially picked Louisville because I was like, supporting your team. Thought they'd get it done. But also, I was like, they played great. I mean, I think the only red flag was, well, two red flags. I think one was the Duke game. And I kind of just overlooked it because I'm like, it's Duke. But UNC, and I know rivalry game, but when UNC played Duke without Cooper Flagg, they were competitive enough. They tried. Then I think they ended up losing that game by like 3. It was the lane violation. Yeah, that was the lane violation game. So like they were kind of getting beat badly. Then they came back. Louisville lost that game against Cooper Flagg, List Duke by double digits, and they weren't really competitive. Kind of were, but then, at the end of it, right? Like at the end, they kind of got beat handily. And the second red flag was the ACC was not good, and I think a lot of people kind of overlooked it because in years past when the ACC's been trending down the last 3 seasons, but what's happened? What have we always seen, though? The ACC teams that do make the tournament go on runs. Like Clemson last year made the Elite Eight. Like they still hey, the ones that do make it, they go far. Not this year. UNC lost early. Louisville lost early. Clemson lost early. It was just due. For after the round of 64, it was just due. So the ACC did not get it done at all with the teams that made it. So,
And here's the thing too. And the thing is too, is like you said, Creighton, they have a good team. And Stephen Ashworth, them guys, we were just outmatched and outleagued. And year one under Pat Kelsey, I'm proud of what he did, but I knew with no big and Ryan Colprinter, who I believe had 25 points in that game, ate us alive. And it was just one of them things. It didn't matter the fact that we were in in Lexington. It didn't matter. It really didn't.
Yeah, and that sucked too because had the definite advantage there. I think what Pat Kelsey did his first year was incredible. Obviously, if you didn't have the portal, wouldn't have happened. I said the same thing with Kalen DeBoer when he went to Washington and how he turned that around immediately. Like if you didn't have the portal, it would have taken a lot longer to turn a program around. That's why you're seeing coaches get fired so much quicker. Used to, you'd be like, give them 3, 4, 5 years. They need time to get their own players, all that kind of stuff. That's gone because now you're seeing the whole team leave when a new coach gets hired, and they got to replace the whole thing. So it's like, well, you have the pick of the litter. You get the wrong players, you're out. So Pat Kelsey did a great job, but without the portal, it would have been basically impossible to do what he did. But he did a great job. And I think that with more time and him, being at Louisville longer, I think he'll have them better prepared to maybe make a run in a couple of years or so.
This game right here, this was one of the best opening round games that I watched. Michigan, UC San Diego. And this was one of them teams that was a trendy upset. If you remember when we originally did our bracket, that was an upset we almost picked. And I even said, don't be surprised if Michigan has to win it at the buzzer. And lo and behold, they won it at the buzzer because UC San Diego missed the 3 at the horn. And I think a lot of it too is, as well, Jeffrey, was the fact Michigan played in the rugged Big Ten and their tournament was played later, which that's another thing that's always been a disadvantage. The Big Ten and the American, they always finish their tournaments on Selection Sunday. I think that's a lot of reason why this game was closer than it probably should have been, in my opinion.
I agree with that because you've always kind of seen like the Big Ten teams struggle in that round one game. And then if they do win that round one game, then they typically play better in the next game. I agree with that because look at Michigan. Like, we're going to get to it, but like they barely beat UC, San Diego, but then they beat A&M a lot better, and A&M's a better team. So it's kind of crazy. I think that honestly, it'd be a lot better if all the conference championship games, the final wrapped up on the same day. But I know logistically with networks and they also want to milk ratings, it's not really feasible to do that, but it is a disadvantage. I agree. I mean, like the WCC, I mean, nothing against Gonzaga and St. Mary's, but why they had so much success. Their tournament wraps up way before anybody else's. Like they're done
2 weeks.
And they can just sit there and be like, we're good. We can rest and get better and, whatever. Do ice baths. I don't know. Just get prepared, ready to go. And like, yeah, with the Big Ten, it's like, yeah, you're playing on Sunday and like your game's in like 4 days and flying there's like a couple days. Like it's just not a lot. It's not great. But yeah, but to get to this game specifically though, real quick, yeah, we both thought that UC San Diego could win.
Would have a chance.
I didn't pick it because it felt too obvious, and yet it still almost happened. That's how good of a team they were. But yeah, Michigan pulled it out. I think that kind of shows that Michigan was a very good team because UC San Diego, if you out of all the really big Cinderellas, UC San Diego was probably out of all the Cinderellas, they were the best one. Like I know people are gonna say Drake, but Drake's a Cinderella, but they're not a Cinderella. They've been kind of good lately. Now I don't know if that's gonna continue now that McCollum's gone, but the last 3 to 5 years they've been good. Whereas this was an out of nowhere team, and they were very darn good. Yeah, I mean Michigan had to fight for it. I think most teams would have had a struggle with them in their first game.
Well, and I'll say this too. Like I even told you, Jeffrey, I said this is going to go to the end. I have a sneaky suspicion, not because I think UC San Diego and Michigan are equal on talent level. Look at on paper, Michigan's far more talented. But the fact that Michigan's coming off a rugged Big Ten tournament and UC San Diego got to sit and chill, it just kind of showed. And Michigan kind of almost like if UC San Diego would have gotten like 3 more seconds, they could have won this game. They missed the 3 at the buzzer and couldn't get the rebound. And it's like I predicted. I said it's going to go to the buzzer, and it did. And I was with you. I almost picked the upset, but I was like, I think Michigan might be tired, but I think their talent is going to win at the end. Their defense has been good all year. They'll make one more stop.
Yeah, I mean, our assessment of the game was that was probably, to be honest, was one of the most accurate of the first round. Like we were on point with this game. We weren't perfect on a lot of others, but we both thought this one would go down to the wire and Michigan would survive, and that's what happened. So definitely one of the best first round games. Wish more of them were this good, but it was a great game.
This next game kind of got interesting towards the end, but the talent of A&M was a little too much for the Ivy League.
Yeah, Yale has beaten teams before. They beat Auburn last year. They've done it before. Smart players, but I think the loss of Danny Wolf, though, I think him leaving for Michigan, that was too much to overcome. They weren't as good this year. Good team though, still very solid team. Felt like A&M in general kind of faded late in the season. I mean, they lost to Texas in the SEC tournament and they didn't show their best in this game or the game they lost in the next round. They did not show their best. I felt that earlier in the season they played a whole lot better than that. So Yale did good, but I also think A&M did not do their best.
Yeah. To kind of put a bow on it, I mean, A&M's talent, I think, won this game. Wayne Taylor took over late. And like you said, losing Danny Wolf, that was a big loss. I feel like it was one of them games A&M took serious as the game went on. And they kind of were like, okay, we need to take them serious because they can beat us. And then it shows. They were to pull away late.
I agree.
Now, this right here, I want to hear an explanation because you were on the UNC hype train. You thought they had it going. Take the floor, mister.
Yeah, I thought North Carolina was going to make a run. I mean, it just felt like, I've been trashing them even as a fan. Like, this team sucks. Like, we don't belong in the tournament, all that kind of stuff. But then it was like, all right, a couple years ago, we saw them barely get in, even though it wasn't like this. I mean, they were in that year. This time shouldn't have got in, but that year they got in. And what do? They went all the way to the national championship game, right? They completely turned the season around. It just felt like they blow out San Diego State in the first 4 in Dayton, and you're like, North Carolina's going to go on a run, aren't they? You look at this path, and it's like, Ole Miss and Iowa State, these are good teams, but they can beat them. Like, it's North Carolina, right? They'll go on a run, make the Elite Eight. I had them losing to Michigan State in the Sweet 16, I think. Was it? Yeah, Sweet 16. No, that was the Elite Eight, right? No. Yeah, it's the Sweet 16. They would have met in the Sweet 16. I had them losing to them, and so I thought they would go on a run. But yeah, I mean, they started out the game just flat. Like, all the problems that they had earlier in the season came back.
Compounded.
Yeah,
It
like
compounded.
you saw it kind of go away a bit when they were competitive against Duke, despite no Cooper Flag. Even in the game at home that they ended up losing by like 13, they were winning against Duke for a while, and then they collapsed. But like you could see, like, hey, they're more competitive, they're playing better. They beat Wake Forest in the ACC tournament. I know Wake wasn't a great team, but it's like they're playing better. I felt like Ole Miss kind of like A&M seemed to be trending down toward the end of the season. I was like, it just felt like this game North Carolina would win. And from the jump, they came out completely flat. Honestly, in the second half, they played good. They fought back, and they almost tied the game, but then they made a couple more mistakes. And then they ended up losing. But they made the game competitive late. But their mistakes early in the game, them falling behind as much as they did, is why they ultimately ended up losing. And I agree 100% with this. With Jackson, if UNC has an underwhelming season again, then Davis will be canned. I know he got some type of an extension, but you can't keep having bad seasons. I think he would be. But, definitely a disappointing year for Carolina and a sad way to go out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'll say this too. Ole Miss got hot from 3, and we'll talk about it in the next game, but they got hot from beyond the arc. I believe they started the game out up 13-2.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was like Druzilla, I believe his name, or Pruzilla.
Yeah, Sean
I think
Padula. Yeah, the Virginia
Padula.
Tech
Padula.
transfer. He is a
He's a
he's their
sharpshooter.
best player. I mean, like, is he the most physically gifted guy? No, he's a smaller player, but he kind of reminds you like a Stephen Ashworth. He's just a baller. He knocks threes down. He plays as hard as he can. He's good.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is too, and this was surprising, Ole Miss outran North Carolina. I would have never predicted that.
Mm.
That was the thing too. They outran them and they shot the ball in transition really well. This almost was like a bad matchup that we didn't see coming. Like, sometimes when you look at a game on paper, you think, oh, this is going to favor one team, and then they play it on the court, and you're like, this does not favor this team. I kind of felt that way with North Carolina Ole Miss. I think we underestimated them.
Yeah, I think we did too. I mean, the SEC ended up doing well in the tournament, but they had so many teams in there that they were going to get a lot of them far in the tournament. But they still did well. And, I mean, Ole Miss had a good team. I mean, they weren't a great team, but they were good. I mean, I agree with Scotty B. Iowa State's injuries really hurt them. If they were healthy, maybe that would have been a different game. But Ole Miss had a really good year, and it's very impressive that Chris Beard did what he did there because they're not normally good. I mean, Kermit Davis, their previous coach, I mean, if they made the I think, did he ever make the tournament? I think he made it once. Other than that, it was just NIT and nothing. Like, they were just mid. I mean, they were worse than mid.
Yeah, Ole Miss was like, they finished, like, I believe in the bottom of the SEC most of the years.
Yeah, they would be like 15-16 or something like that, and like 4-12 in the league. I mean, or something like that. I mean, or 4-14.
They were bad.
They would barely win any conference games.
Mm-hmm. But this is a great win for Ole Miss, and Chris Beard staying, hopefully has a bright future. Iowa State, Lipskin, I mean, not Lipskin, I can't say that. Anywho, maybe
It
you could
looks
say
like
that.
Lipscomb, but I think they say Lipscomb. It sounds almost like scum, but it's not.
Lipscomb.
It's just a weird word. But Lipscomb or whatever played like scum. They sucked. Despite Iowa State having a lot of injuries, this game was not competitive at all. It was terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, credit to Iowa State. I mean, the injuries didn't catch up to him in that game. Lipskin is what I'm going to call him. Lipskin just was, ugh. That's all I could say. This right here was Marquette, New Mexico, was a game that we both thought could be an upset. Or was this the game we picked an upset on? Upset,
I picked
quote unquote.
Marquette, I think. Yeah, I think I went Marquette. I will say that my takeaways or main takeaway on this game is that Shaka Smart has lost a lot of favorability. for this game. I will say that. I mean, he still thought of, like, he obviously at Texas lost a lot of his reputation from VCU, but he's gotten it back at Marquette because he's done well there. You know, he's had good seasons. They've been ranked a lot, but this is a game they should have won. Flat
I
out.
mean, here's the thing, Jeffrey. New Mexico was a really good team. Donovan Dent.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They were a really good team. They played defense. They gave Michigan State all they could handle, which we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But New Mexico was a really good team. I think I told you, I was like, don't be surprised if they win this game and possibly beat Michigan State. And nobody was biting. Everyone thought I was a little nuts. I may be a little nuts, but I knew they were good for one. And Marquette's not the same team they were last year either. Cam Jones, he just hasn't lived up to the billing. I'm sorry. Where was he at this game?
Yeah, he had a good year, but I think it kind of was the same thing as RJ Davis, where Cam Jones had a lot of more help last year. A lot of players on that team last year. You know, I'm trying to think that one guy they had, Oso Iguodaro. He was a very good player last year. And it's like you take him out. They had another guy too, but I can't think. But I remember Iguodaro. But it's like you take those guys out, and then it's all on Cam Jones. And it's just can't do it all. RJ Davis, you had Baycott, you had, you know, some other guys this year. I mean, you had Cadeau and Trumbull, but, you know,
it became too much.
It was too much. So, I mean, it is what it is for Marquette, but disappointing into their season. Just did not. They should have at least won this game, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, New Mexico was a really solid defensive team. They were number one in everything in the Mountain West. So I didn't expect this when I did the quotations for upset, because it wasn't really an upset, because New Mexico matches up well with them. They could play in the Big East, if I'm being honest, but
yeah, especially when they, you know, having Richard Pitino, now that he's gone to the Big East, team's going to be worse. But yeah, this past year's team could have competed in the Big East, because honestly, the Big East was not great. Outside of the top, like, 3 teams ish, the rest of the league was not very good.
Then this game here, Michigan State Bryant. This was a close one for about 25-ish, 30-ish minutes. Bryant had Michigan State reeling. And I know, like, I don't know how much of this one you watched, Jeffrey, but Bryant had him reeling for a minute. But then Izzo figured it out. Atkins, Cooper, Tom Izzo, like he does in March, he figured it out and got it done. But Bryant had him reeling for about a half and 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's a good point. I do remember seeing the score. You know, they show all the games and it shows the scores up top. Like, this game was pretty close, but I wasn't worried about it. Not one moment was I worried about it. I had a feeling that Izzo would figure it out. They had a great team this year. I mean, it wasn't an elite team, but it was a great team. Jace Richardson, Akins, you know, overall, I liked their team. I thought it was solid. It wasn't elite, but it was solid. And with Izzo being a elite coach, it felt like they were due for a run. And they did. I mean, it was their deepest run in years. I mean, we always talk about Izzo in March, but it's like he hadn't really done that much the last few years in the tournament. This year was kind of vintage Izzo. They went on a run, and they had a really good team.
I mean, and he's been carrying the Big Ten in March. Let's be for real. Before Purdue, like, he was carrying. Before Michigan, he was carrying. Like Jeffrey, I know this is no shot at Indiana, but where was Indiana all those years? On the couch. Where was
we haven't
Purdue?
done anything after we fired Kelvin Sampson. I mean, we haven't done anything. That's why you see Kelvin Sampson going to Elite Eights and Final Fours every year. He's a great coach. He just got fired for cheating back in 2008. And Tom Crean was all right, but yeah, ever since Crean, we've sucked. I mean, we suck. Like, we absolutely, legitimately suck, and we
Mhm.
have no business sucking because we are the flagship program in the Big Ten, and we haven't been the flagship program in the Big Ten forever.
Mhm.
Sucks. Michigan State and
Well,
Purdue have been doing it, and it needs to go back to Indiana being the top of that list. Like, and that would make the league better.
mhm. Well, and now we're going to the second round in the South region. Auburn had a bit of trouble with Creighton, but they figured it out. Janai Broom, Ryan Culper, that was a pretty good matchup down low, but Auburn figured it out and was able to pull away at the end.
Yeah, this game was predictable. Like, you saw throughout the whole game, like, Creighton fought, they tried, and a very commendable effort. Like, they lost without shame. Like, it wasn't a bad performance on their part,
Mm,
but there was no point in the game where you're like, oh my gosh, Creighton's going to win. Auburn
mm-mm,
was in control. It was just a very predictable, steady game. Creighton was
mm,
always kind of within striking distance, but never posed a true threat.
mm.
Pretty good
I
game.
mean,
Not great though.
mhm. Pretty good. Auburn's going to the Sweet 16 out south. And then we got Michigan A&M. Texas A&M was a pretty fun game. A&M led by as many, I think, was 8, 10 points. Michigan fought back. Donaldson, Vlad Golden. This was a fun heavyweight fight, and then Michigan pulled away late. Their depth caught up, and their defensive toughness caught up to A&M, and they were able to pull away and get the W. Dusty May pulled it out again. He found a way.
Did you? I'm trying to remember. Did you pick A&M or Michigan in this game?
I picked Michigan.
You did. I think I did too. We both did. I think. Yeah, I went Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, we both picked Michigan. I mean, it was a really good win, and like you said, the second tournament game, Michigan played a whole lot better. Better. The fatigue kind of wore off of them.
Mm. Yeah, I mean they did really good. I mean A&M just like I said just wasn't impressing me till late in the season, and Michigan won the Big Ten, was playing great basketball. Like you said, they shook off the tired legs from the first game and played a heck of a game. I mean, putting up 91 on A&M was not the easiest thing to do because A&M was a tough defensive team on paper at
Hmm.
least. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think some people were surprised by this, especially SEC homers. But at the end of the day, I feel like this was a coin flip game. I mean, it was pretty 50-50, and we both got it right. I wouldn't say it was a great game, but it was at least entertaining enough.
Hmm. And then in the Sweet 16 out south, we had Michigan, Auburn. Um, I kind of felt like this was another one of them where it was like the results was never in doubt. I
Yeah, it
was
was
like,
like
okay,
Auburn Creighton, but honestly, I felt like Auburn Creighton might have been a little bit better of a game. This game, Auburn was in control, like they were
hmm.
going to win. Michigan ran out of gas.
And Janai Broom, who's one of the best basketball players in the world today, absolutely went to work.
Mm-hmm.
He punished the Michigan, inside, and the fact Auburn created turnovers really hurt them, hurt Michigan, and they just a bad matchup. And Auburn
Absolutely,
did what they did. They proved once again why they are the best team in this region.
still a great season for Michigan though. Like for Michigan fans, I mean, first year of Dusty May, still breaking the hearts of Indiana fans that he's not there. But Michigan did the right thing in hiring him, and I mean they're seemingly going to be good now for the foreseeable future. I mean they got a good
Hmm.
coach. That's all I can say.
Hmm. Now to the bottom half of the South, Ole Miss trounces Iowa State, and to be honest with you, this game I won't say is a fluke, but Iowa State was banged up badly. They were coming into this basically with one wing, so to speak, and Ole Miss just they had this game in hand to start. Iowa State was never healthy, and it showed. They were just
Yeah,
outmatched and outgunned.
if Iowa State was healthy, then this game is probably a completely different outcome. I mean, credit to Ole Miss. They played well. They really carried that momentum from beating Carolina, but Iowa State at one point in the season was really good. I mean, there were people saying this team's going to be a 1 seed. I mean, that they were legit. And then the injury bug hit. And you can make the same argument we haven't talked about it yet for like Kentucky. I mean, it's the same thing. Like, what if Kentucky was healthy all the way? I mean, some teams lost some guys, and Iowa State was one of those teams. I mean, you saw a bunch of Twitter posts saying, "Is Iowa State ever going to be healthy?" They never did. They never got healthy, and that their defense suffered more than their offense with the not being healthy.
They gave
Because
up 91.
giving up 91, Ole Miss again, good team, but had no business scoring 91 on Iowa
Mm-hmm.
State. They just couldn't defend at a high level.
Mm-hmm. And in this game too, at one point it was like 35-13, and I'm sitting here and I see it at the, like, like you said, how they have it at the top of the
Mm-hmm.
scoreboard. I was like, that has to be fake, right? And I turn over to the game and it's 35-13. I'm like, okay, like, we know why this is. Like, and I'm not
That
discrediting Ole
sucks.
Miss. Like, not to cut you off, Jeffrey, but not to discredit Ole Miss, but if Iowa State was healthy, it would have not been 35-13. It just wouldn't have been.
Yeah, I agree. And like I said, it sucks because, I mean, Iowa State fans were so excited about their team this year, and they really felt they had a legit shot to make a deep run. And the biggest unfortunate aspect of any sport, injuries, it hit them. I mean, there's nothing, it's unavoidable sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. And the second Sweet 16 game, New Mexico, Michigan State, and once again, Michigan State getting pushed to the limit by New Mexico. I mean, Jeffrey, and we saw when we get to this Ole Miss game, what was the deal with Michigan State? Like, they got pushed by lesser teams. It was kind of concerning,
I think
especially in this
the reason
game.
they did was because they didn't have an elite team. Like, they had a good team. It was one of Izzo's best teams in years. But I think, like I said, Izzo being an elite coach made the difference and made the team better than it was. But a lesser
Mm-hmm.
coach would have probably lost in the second round.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing too. Like, the thing is with Michigan State, like you said, Izzo makes all the difference in the world. And here's the thing: New Mexico was leading this game, I think, with what, 6 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
This game wasn't down, but then Akins, I think, hit back-to-back threes. They forced a couple turnovers, and then New Mexico just didn't have enough firepower, and Michigan State was able to hang on.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, Donovan Dent was one of the best players this past season in college, all of college basketball. He was really good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
tough when, like in the case of Michigan State, their team was more built as a team, like it's a team effort type of deal. A lot of teams
Mm-hmm.
have a star. A lot of teams have that guy, that can
And
go
Michigan
for
State.
35, and Michigan State doesn't. And I feel like that's what makes their games closer anyway. Like they don't really have the ability to pull away because they don't really have a guy that can just take over. And that is a key
Mm-hmm.
component. And going up against a team in New Mexico who had a guy like that. And honestly, Dent did not have his best game. If he had a better game, New Mexico probably wins this game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. And this Ole Miss Michigan State in the South Sweet 16, this was a heck of a game to watch.
Yeah, this
Maybe the
was one
best.
of the best games, honestly, of the tournament. I mean, probably a couple of them that were better, but this is one of the best games. I mean, it was really competitive. I thought Ole Miss was going to win, but somehow Michigan State pulled it out of their hat again. Izzo just, I don't know, man.
Aikens.
He finds ways.
Here's the thing: Aikens and Richardson, Jace Richardson, they were the unsung hero of
Mm-hmm.
this game, especially Jace Richardson, because he scored like the last 8 for Michigan State in this game.
He
And
kind of became their star player at the end, but he still, to me, wasn't a star player. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was getting better though. As it's like at the beginning of the season, everyone was talking about Akins and and some of their
Mm-hmm.
other players, Frankie Fiddler, Xavier Booker,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like, oh, those guys are going to get better. Cohen Carr. But then as the season went along, like Richardson though, just got better and better. Still wasn't like a
Mm-hmm.
complete star, but he got a whole lot better by the end of the season. And he definitely, without his improvement, probably Michigan State wouldn't have made this run.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And then the Elite Eight, the South Elite Eight, Auburn, Michigan State. Uh, did you ever feel like this game was in doubt?
That's a great question because you can kind of say yes and no. I would lean more to no, that it wasn't really in doubt. But I mean, there was a couple moments where Michigan State they tried, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn pretty much controlled the game, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. And even when Janai Broom got hurt, which we'll talk about when we predict the Final Four here in a few minutes, how that's going to affect our pick for Florida to Auburn. But Auburn made the bigger plays, and Michigan State once again dug themselves a big hole. It was 23-8. Like, what the heck? That's not it. That's not an Izzo team. I don't know if they were just exhausted or what, but 23-8.
Yeah, they started out rough. I mean, you can't dig yourself in a big hole like that. That is one of the worst things that you can do in a game. I mean, if you can keep a game within striking distance at all times, you're giving yourself a chance throughout the whole game. But when you put yourself in a big hole, that's what happened to Carolina against Ole Miss. They were down by like 20 at a half. And it's like if they weren't down by 20 at a half, they would have won because they played a whole lot better than Ole Miss in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
But they put
Mm-hmm.
themselves in such a big hole, and Michigan State did the same thing. I mean, they cut it late and again kind of tried, but at the end of the day, it was too late.
Mm-hmm. And so that's how we got to Auburn. So that that that, that took a little longer. Let's see if we can zoom through this one. The East bracket. Good job, Duke. You beat Mount
Yeah,
St.
I got
Mary's.
nothing to say on that game. Duke blew them out.
Mm. Mississippi State Baylor. That was a
We
fun
both picked
game.
Baylor. You made me switch, and I'm glad you did. You made me switch on this because I was like Mississippi State, great year, all that, and you're like Scott Drew, the experienced coach, and I was like, that's why I should have listened to you on Creighton. I flipped my pick to Baylor, and they got it done. I was pulling. I was like, come on, Baylor, come on. That game was legitimately a good game. I mean, I know it wasn't
Yes.
two elite teams or nothing, but this was a good game.
Yes, this was a fun game between the SEC and Big 12. Very, very good. Very good. Liberty, Oregon.
Awful.
Oregon flex their muscles. I mean,
Probably when this game happened, you were high. You're like, yeah, I made a good pick on Oregon going to the Final Four. Like, I'm sure that's how you felt after this game.
yes, I was like, I knew it. I'm not a madman. Dana Altman is the GOAT. We're going to get it done. And then I'm going to tell Jeffrey I know what I'm talking about. And we're going to get to Oregon, Arizona here in just a second. But my goodness, wow. How one round can change everything.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona, Akron.
Not a good game either.
Arizona didn't choke. They did what they were supposed to. They avoided the upset.
I told you BYU. I tried on this one. I tried. Like, you tried to get me to go Creighton. I told you, man. BYU was hot. They were hot down the stretch. Yeah, I told you, and I had BYU going to the Sweet 16. So
You did.
I predicted that right. Like, I told you BYU was feeling it.
Hey, kudos.
Will's team, but
Jeffrey, I'll give you kudos. That was a heck of a pick, and it showed BYU when they shoot the lights out, they can beat anybody, and VCU couldn't keep up, and their defense couldn't stop them. Now, Jeffrey, Wisconsin beat Montana, and I tried to tell you, your Badger hate got me.
I tried to go a couple upsets, and I was like, Wisconsin's, yeah, they choked. Purdue chokes. We'll get to Purdue. I thought maybe, and plus you were talking about like, I think it
My
was
sister.
your sister, like Montana, all that kind of stuff. I was like, you know what? I'll go Montana. Bad pick. So I was as right as I was on BYU, as wrong as I was on Montana. That's March Madness for you. That's why it's so fun to pick these games, because sometimes you get it right, sometimes you just flat out get it wrong.
And the look back's even funner. Like, I'm enjoying myself talking about this and looking back at it.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
Okay, Jeff. St. Mary's Vanderbilt. My gosh, what a game this was. If
Such an
Vandy
ugly game too. It was an ugly game. Both
and
teams could not put it in the hoop for a minute there.
Jeffrey, and I want to be quoted with this. What did I tell you? I said 57-54. And you were like, that's going to be an ugly game, Austin. And I was not that much off.
Yeah, you're right. I think I said like 66, 62. I don't remember what I said though, but it was in the 60s. I knew St. Mary's was going to keep it on the lower side, but man, I didn't think it was going to be that ugly. You were absolutely correct. I mean, this game was ugly. Like, I remember there was one part of this game, I think Vanderbilt was up like 42-34, like 40-32. You probably remember that stretch. Vanderbilt was up by like 8. And St. Mary's was dead. Like, they hadn't scored in like 7 minutes. But you know what? Then Vanderbilt didn't score for like 4. And then St. Mary's just creeped their way back in the game. And it's like, that's what they do. St. Mary's defends. And even if their offense goes cold, except when they're playing teams like Bama, they can hang with you. And that's what Vanderbilt did. They didn't pull away. If they had pulled away when they were up 8, extended that lead to 12. Once you get St. Mary's to like 12, 14-point lead, it's done. And when I saw Vanderbilt up 8, I'm like, you got this, Vandy. You're going to win. You have this game. And then they didn't score for like 4 minutes. And then St. Mary's cut it to like 2. And I'm like, you're cooked, Vandy. You let him back in. And when you let St. Mary's back in, you're doomed. And that's what happened. Like, St. Mary's ended up finding a way to squeak it out. We both picked St. Mary's because usually they win a game. But, yeah.
Not to cut you off, apologies, but you almost picked Vandy.
I almost did. The reason I almost did was because St. Mary's, to me, was way more offensively challenged this year than people were willing to admit. And that game against Gonzaga, I know they swept Gonzaga in the regular season, but they really did not play well against Gonzaga in the WCC championship game. They sucked in that game. And to me, I was concerned, and my concerns were valid because they did not play good in this game. Vanderbilt choked, essentially.
Yeah, and Vandy had a chance to win it at the end, and they just couldn't draw up a good play. They took an ugly, like fading away out of bounds 3-point shot, and I'm just like, ugh, that's a rough way to end the game.
Yeah.
Now, this game, Alabama Robert Morris. What the heck, Alabama? I get it, Grant Nelson was dealing with an injury, but what the heck? Jeffrey, I wasn't watching this game. I was watching Mississippi State Baylor, and then I see all of a sudden Bama's trailing by 2, and I'm like, what the heck? And I turn it over, and it's like 57-55, and I'm thinking, what in the world? I'm like, what is wrong with you, Alabama? Like, Jeffrey, I'm sure you probably didn't intend to watch this game either, but I'm sure you had to towards the end. What went wrong?
Yeah, I saw some of this game, especially when it started getting a little dicey where, like Robert Morris had a chance. Because I was watching Mississippi State Baylor too, but I did flip it over and I was like, all right, what is going on here? It was effort, and that's the sad thing. I mean, Alabama, unfortunately, too much and too often have that mindset where it's like, all right, we give up 2 points, we give up a 3, whatever. We're just going to make it up on the other end. It's like James Harden, especially when he was younger. You see James Harden just not play defense and just stand there, and then he chunk up a 3 on the other end, knock it down. It's like, all right, well, I made it back. It's not how you play, man. You have to be good on both sides of the ball. And I'm not saying like Nate Oates doesn't prioritize defense. I know he does. But there are times where they just don't defend. That Missouri game. What was that Missouri game where they gave up 110 to Missouri, who lost to Drake? You know what I'm saying? Like Alabama had issues this year at times defending, and I hammered it home again and again and again. Defense, defense, defense. That was going to be Alabama's Achilles heel. And the thing is, I felt that after this game, they defended better. But for them to beat the team that we're going to be talking about who they play later on, they needed to play excellent defense. And they couldn't do it. And their offense kind of went cold too. But that's just the thing. Like Alabama had to score a lot of threes. They had to score a lot of points to win games because their defense was not consistently good. And this game against Robert Morris, the biggest problem with that game is the fact that Robert Morris was not a great team, and Robert Morris was not a great team, and yet they gave up as many points as they did. It was just kind of foreshadowing that they're going to end up doing this again. And it's going to cost them.
I'm back. Technical difficulty. I hit the wrong button. It's all good.
Yeah, you're good, man. I had a feeling.
Okay, but I caught most of your, I won't say rant, but I caught most of it. But now we can move on to the next round. Duke Baylor, Duke did their thing.
Yeah. It definitely was not a close game. Baylor had no shot. Duke owned them from the beginning.
Arizona, Oregon, one of the best second-round games we got all tournament. And thanks to Arizona, my Final Four pick went kapooey.
Did you see the end of this game, though, man? I will say, this was a heck of a game. So entertaining. Arizona tried to give this game away. Because I wrote this to you. I wrote you during this game. I'm like, Arizona is trying to give this game away. They kept screwing up. I was like, what are you doing, Arizona? It was so dumb. Like, I can't even describe it because, it's been a week and a half ago. Like, I'd have to go back and watch it. But, like, they kept screwing up. That's all I remember. It just mistake after mistake, and Oregon didn't capitalize. Oregon could have won. This was a great game. But, Arizona, I was like, man, you were really trying to give this game away, and they somehow won. Caleb Love is why they won. Every time Arizona looked cooked, he knocked down a shot, and that's why they won. He played fantastic, and he showed up in this tournament.
Yeah, and Caleb Love turned into the superstar that we know he could be. We saw it in the Final Four against Duke in Coach K's last game. And once again, he rose and shone. Because like you said, they tried to give it away.
I feel like if he's going to have a good NBA career, he's going to have to find a way to be more consistent. Because it seems to me that when Caleb Love has motivation, he plays great. But when he doesn't, he just kind of is there. Like you see, like you said with Coach K, the final game with Coach K, he played great. That whole season down the stretch, he played great. Then they played Duke in the Final Four, eliminated Coach K's career. He had that big shot. And then it's like here, it's like, oh, coming up, like we're going to talk about, but he played excellent against Duke again. And then he was really good against Oregon, a former Pac-12 rival. When he has motivation, when it's a big game, he shows up typically. But if it's just some random bozo team, like, oh my gosh, Arizona's playing Buffalo, whatever, just some stupid team, and it's like, guess what? He just isn't there. He had like if he's in the NBA and he's playing against LeBron and he has 40, and then next game he's playing the freaking Charlotte Hornets and he has 2. No, Caleb Love, you have to be playing hard and well game in and game out. You can't have off nights. Everybody's gonna have an off night, but he does it too frequently.
I agree. And another thing too is speaking of that, we're going to get to him, Caleb Love, in big moments here in a minute. But BYU Wisconsin, another fantastic thriller. This could have been game of the tournament.
Yeah, BYU Wisconsin was definitely one of probably the top 5 to 10 games in the tournament. You can make a case even better than that. It was a thriller. Had all the things you want to see, controversy, big shots made. I mean, it was definitely a great game. I was pulling for BYU because it was like I picked them. I wanted them to, make it to the Sweet 16, and I picked them to. But they ended up pulling it out. But I mean, this game literally could have gone either way. I mean, kudos to Wisconsin as well. Like Wisconsin, had a great season that no one was really expecting. Like they way outperformed their expectations, and I don't really feel that this was a disappointing game for them, honestly. Like it was just a hard fought game. Both teams played hard and well, and they came out on the wrong side.
And this was another game. BYU tried to give it away. Like, you watched this game, right? I'm sure a lot of people did. But BYU tried to give this thing away at the end. Wisconsin had a chance to win it. Like, what was that shot selection at the end? Did you see that shot selection? Like, what was that?
It was definitely not good. It was not good at all. I feel like a lot of times at the end of some tournament games, the teams panic, and then they start forcing stuff, and that's what you can't do. I know it's easier said than done because we're just talking and we're not actually out there performing. We're not playing. But in those situations, though, a lot of times guys panic.
I mean, good win for BYU, and Kevin Young in his first year, a Sweet 16 appearance. Good for him. Alabama St. Mary's. This is more like Bama. Okay. I'm glad you decided to show up, Alabama, before it was too late. Good job.
Yeah, they played a lot better in this game. I do think that St. Mary's being kind of, like I said earlier, somewhat of an offensively challenged team this season contributed to Alabama's success because it made it where Alabama didn't have to be elite on defense to win. But I do think they played better on defense overall in this game than they did against Robert Morris. And they didn't turn in their best offensive game, but they were solid. They were just solid in this game. And St. Mary's, I mean, I feel like they would have, if they had last year's team, they would have done better. For whatever reason, despite St. Mary's getting such a high seed this year, they weren't as good this season. Good team, but like they were missing something. I don't know if it was Mahaney. I don't know, but they had too many cold spells on offense. Too many cold spells.
Yeah. Duke, Arizona, the Sweet 16. This game to me never felt like it was in doubt.
No, it was not in doubt. Caleb Love was the only reason it was close. Caleb Love gave them a chance. But other than that, Duke was in control. I agree with
you. Yeah. Duke was in control. Cooper Flagg, I think, had 35 and 7 in this game. Colin Knipple. I mean, Duke was the more complete and more better team, and it showed. Like you said, Caleb Love is what kept them afloat.
Like he single-handedly kept Arizona in the game, theoretically, despite it not really being in doubt. Like, because I kept looking at the score and and then I turned it on eventually, but I saw the score. I was watching the other game, and it was like they were down like 10, 12, 7. And every time Arizona scored, it was like Caleb Love. He had like 20-something points, and now he's got like 28, 30. Like, he just kept scoring. He kept them in the game. He did everything he possibly could, but he needed more help, and they just didn't get
it. I mean, good win for Duke. Now, this game right here, BYU, Alabama, it lived up to the billing because I thought I picked Alabama to win, and I thought this was going to be like a 98-90 type game. Boy, Alabama ran them out of the gym. 25 threes. Mark Sears had 10, I believe. Bama was on fire this night. Like, you tell me BYU scored.
It almost ended up being their Achilles heel, didn't it? Like, they had this big game. They had the 25 threes, and Sears had the incredible performance, and they couldn't replicate it again. And that was what I was afraid of. I didn't think they could.
Well, and my thing too, Jeffrey, was you tell me BYU scores 88, I'm like, they're going to win then. Not with Alabama. And here's the thing, they match each other stylistically because they both want to run and push the ball. Like even Nate Oates said, BYU's the one team that will get in a running match with you because they fit that style. And guess what? Alabama's like, okay, run with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and BYU just didn't stop them. Like Alabama just kept getting open shot after open shot. And even though in their next game, Bama got some open shots, that length just hurt them. And BYU did not have the length. BYU just essentially let Bama get whatever they wanted. And Bama knocked the shots down. It was an incredible performance. I was so excited seeing that game. I'm like 25 threes, an NCAA record. That's unbelievable. But even still, you heard me say after that game, I kept telling people, I was like, do not get overconfident on that. Like you're now, like everybody's like, Bama's going to win it all. Pump the brakes. Like incredible performance, but can they do it again? They couldn't do it again. Absolutely. What you saw against BYU evaporated against Duke.
Mm-hmm. And this is the Elite Eight out east, Duke, Alabama. And like you said, this performance couldn't be replicated. Duke was too physical. Grant Nelson, where did he go? Like I thought this would be the game he would turn into the Grant Nelson we saw in the Sweet 16 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Never seen it. Mark Sears got ran off the 3-point line. Aiden Holiday, Bama just looked pedestrian. And like you said, I understand you can't replicate some performances, but they couldn't even I don't even think they hit 6 threes this game.
Mm. Yeah, I think maybe they hit 8. But what was even more of a problem was not the fact that they only hit 8. They were like 8 of like 37. So their percentage was awful. You know what I'm saying? Like if they were like, because I think Duke only hit like 5, but Duke was like 5 of 12, whereas Alabama was like 8 for 37. So like it took 37 shots to get 8 of them to go in. It's terrible.
And like you said, Duke's big man and their length really just bothered Bama. Like Grant Nelson had no answer.
Yeah, it's like Troy V said. You see that in a lot of sports. In baseball, a team will score 13 runs one night, get shut out the next 2 games. Same with hockey. Yeah, it's hard to replicate. And not only did they miss all those threes, Bama missed the layups, and that's where the length came in. Malawatch single-handedly shut Sears down. Every time Sears drove the ball, he was just with his arms up, and Sears had to force the shot in a weird way, and he missed shots he normally makes. I mean, sometimes, just the teams that you play is just better, and Duke was just better in every way than Alabama.
And with that, Duke is going to the Final Four, and they will play the winner of the West region. I mean, not the West region, the Midwest region. Play the winner of the Midwest region. Houston took care of business.
Not a good game, man. I mean, held them to 40. That's what Houston does, though. Defensively, an elite team. It's just the way that they roll.
Gonzaga proved Georgia did not belong in this tournament.
This game right here is when people started to make jokes like, hey, how did the SEC get 14 teams in? Like, what's going on? Because wasn't it like 27-3? And what's so funny is I could be wrong, but I think that Georgia called timeout once they were down 27-3. It's like, why didn't you call a timeout earlier? You're getting destroyed, and yet you're gonna call a timeout when you're already done. Like you're already finished. Like once you're down that much, you basically can't come back. And even though the game was even the rest of the way, they already dug themselves in that big of a hole. I was shocked the game went the way that it did. We both picked Gonzaga because, again, Mark Few, like he's not going to lose in the first round. He's been to 9 straight Sweet 16s. He's at least going to win the first game, even if he can't beat Houston. I did not think they were going to win like this, though. Even though it's 21-point win, Gonzaga manhandled them. And I thought Georgia, the way they played down the stretch, that they would have done better than this. They did not. Terrible performance from the Bulldogs.
Gonzaga kind of flexed their muscles. Graham Ike battle kind of showed Georgia to be like the weaker dog, so to speak. No pun intended, because they're the Bulldogs. But it kind of made the SEC look bad. Like you let Georgia in the field.
Yeah, I think the SEC overall, like, mostly vindicated having as many teams as they did, but they did have a few rough performances from the bubble teams. Oklahoma did bad. We'll get to them. Texas didn't do good in the first four, and Georgia certainly didn't. But other than that, the rest of the teams did pretty good. So.
And thanks to Clemson making the ACC look even worse, McNeese State Clemson in the 5-12 game, and Jeffrey, you came close to picking this as an upset. You were this close.
I wanted to
should have pulled the.
I wanted to pick it, but I was like, the ACC is not going to lose in the first round. Like, I felt like, you know what? They usually advance. Clemson made the Elite Eight. If Clemson hadn't have made the Elite Eight last year, I would have picked McNeese. Honestly. But the two reasons I didn't, I was like, well, Clemson made the Elite Eight. Brad Brownell, he's not going to choke anymore, at least this early. And plus, we were like, is Will Wade, is his mind on the NC State job? Or whatever job? Could he be, not like his head's not in the game? So that was the two reasons I didn't do it. But the thing I think so funny about this game, this and the UC San Diego were the two that were like, yeah, they would be upsets, but they're not really that big of upsets. I don't think no one was really surprised by this. But the thing that was so funny about this game is that you see that final score and you're like, wow, Clemson barely lost. Clemson got destroyed. They were down big. They were down by like 20. And then at the end of the game, they go on this insane run to lose by 2. It was funny. It was like, what are you doing, Clemson? Like, you played with no life the whole game. They were down by like 18 with like 4 to go. I might be exaggerating, but they were down big. You remember. I know you do. It was an ugly game. And then they go on this insane run to almost win.
Yeah, it was like 45-20. I think at one point it was
they were getting killed.
And here's the thing too, McNeese outran them, outplayed them, but then Chase Hunter hit like 2 threes. They made it close, and then they got a steal, and it was kind of like, where was this at? Like they almost played down to them. Like seriously, like Brad Brownell did not have his team prepared. Did not seem like they cared.
Yeah, and then Indiana fans were like, this is why we shouldn't have got this guy. We glad we got someone else. And I was laughing. I was like, I didn't want Brad Brownell anyway. But, I mean, this was not a good performance for Clemson. It'd be different. People could, complain and be like, oh, Brad Brownell's overrated, whatever, if they had lost this game. But if they had lost in like a thriller, like both teams played excellent, it's like 75-74. McNeese played the game of their life. It was back and forth. No, it's because Clemson was lifeless for so long. If they had just played a C- of a game, they'd have won. That's the thing. It's not like McNeese was that good. You know what I'm saying? And maybe Will Wade's head wasn't in the game. But Clemson played so bad that's why McNeese won. Even though Clemson went on the run at the end of the game, for 36 minutes of the game, they sucked. Absolutely sucked, and then they decided to actually play for 4 minutes. If they had just played a C- game, they win, and that's the shameful thing. This wasn't the Michigan UC San Diego game was legitimately good, even though yes, Michigan didn't play their best. That was a good game. This game was not a good game, despite the final score. It's just Clemson went on the run at the end, and even if Clemson had somehow found a way to win this game, our point would have still stood. Like, yeah, Clemson sucked. They were horrible. They just found a way to come back and win. But at the end of the day, it was not a great game for basically 36, 37 minutes.
No. And this was one of them games that when you look back on it, people may say, oh, this was, if you're just someone who looks at the box score, you think, oh, this is your typical 5-12 upset. No, this was a 5-12 throttling. Like, the box score will not do this game justice. This was a butt whooping, like you said. Clemson did not have any life. They did not play worth a dang, and McNeese was just the better team. all around.
I agree.
And you young man, you're in trouble with me. You made me pick High Point, and I was gonna pick Purdue. Just for that, Jeffrey. Just for that, you're lucky I like you. You really do, because you ruined my bracket. I was doing really good in this region, well, before Clemson. But then you really screwed it up. Explain yourself.
Yeah, I hate that I persuaded you to go with High Point. I mean, like I did in a couple other games try to persuade you another way, and you didn't. So, and I got those games right, but I got this one wrong. I got it wrong. I mean, yeah, you'd be like, oh, well, it's because it's Purdue. You wanted them to lose, ha ha. Maybe, but at the same time, Purdue has choked before. They've done it before, so I was like, yeah, they're gonna choke, they're gonna lose, but High Point just wasn't that good. I'm just being honest with you, and Purdue got fortunate that they got an easy path. They got to play High Point, and then in the next round, they got to play another double-digit seed. I'm sorry. I really don't think Purdue is that great this year. I don't. I mean, I understand coming from an Indiana fan perspective. It's like, yeah, we're way better than you, Indiana. We're 4 seed. Where were you at? You're on the. I don't care about all that. My point is that Purdue last year made the title game, just like UConn did. And UConn took a major step back. And Purdue, to me, did too. I felt like the only thing that kept them afloat was Braden Smith for the most part. And the fact that even though the Big Ten was good this year, there wasn't a lot of top-end teams. You had Michigan State. You had Michigan in, whatever. But, like, other than that, Illinois, Maryland, you had some good teams, but Purdue could compete with them. And that's why they ended up having the record and type season they had. If they were in the SEC, though, they'd have been a bubble team. That's my point.
And here's the thing, too. Braden Smith, who was nominated for Player of the Year, he took over this game down the stretch. That's when I knew Purdue was going to win this game. Braden Smith took over this game, and Fletcher Lawyer did just enough to help out that they were able to do enough and win. And here's the thing, too, and it's all good, Jeffrey. I'm not too mad at you. Obviously, love you to death. Like a brother. It happens. We persuade one another. It's fine. I think Purdue, like you said, High Point was just a little overhyped, and Purdue took them a little more seriously. They were like, okay, you're not to be messed with. And Braden Smith, being one of the best point guards in college basketball, rise to shine for this game.
Yeah, I think High Point's record was like 30-4 or something like that. They had an insane record. That was another reason. It just kind of felt like, oh man, they're good. They were not impressive.
Illinois Xavier, the 6-11 game. Xavier, I think they kind of expended all their energy on Texas. If I'm being quite honest with you.
Yeah, we both picked Illinois, if I recall.
Yeah, I believe I picked it. Yeah, I picked Illinois. Yeah, I feel like in this game, not Brett Bielema, that's football. I feel like Brad Underwood always is good for one tournament win, at least one. And I feel like Xavier kind of expended their offense and defense on beating Texas.
Yeah, and then you find out that Sean Miller goes to Texas. and is like, yeah.
What irony. I mean, good win for Illinois. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like Xavier kind of had their mind elsewhere, and they were kind of spent from playing in Dayton.
I agree.
And Kentucky did their thing. Year one under Poe. Nice win. I mean, we both picked Kentucky. Jeffrey, were you close to picking an upset in this game?
I thought about it, like I humored it, but I wasn't gonna pick it. It was kind of like
mean,
I could see it, like shot in the dark. Like, yeah, it could happen, but it's not likely at all. So
mm-hmm,
not really.
mm-hmm. And this game right here, why did I pick Utah State?
I told you, man,
Oh my
that the
God.
Mountain West was bad. I told you the Mountain West was bad, dude. I was like, no. I know New Mexico and Colorado State. Colorado State came on like that decent, right? But I was like, no, man.
Mm-hmm,
Like Utah State sucked at the end of the season to me. They were horrible. And UCLA, I mean, Mick Cronin, he's another coach that usually wins a game. You know, you have all these coaches that
mm-hmm.
usually win a game, right? Like you look at their careers and they usually win one game at least. Yeah, you're good, man. I don't blame you. It was a little trendy pick. I saw other people doing it. I didn't see it. But man, I wouldn't have thought the game would have been like
Mm-hmm.
this though. Utah State had one of the worst first
Yeah,
round performances of any team. Honestly, they were awful.
yeah.
Them and San Diego State,
UCLA
like
made
the
a
first four were bad.
yeah. UCLA made a freaking statement. Like 47, like normally Mick Cronin's teams are not known for defense. And I don't know if it was Utah State was just that bad of a performance or
It was
UCLA was
that
just
bad
that much
of a
better, but
performance
that
for
was
Utah State because they'd been better than that all year. They just played an egg.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, and UCLA made a statement. Tennessee for them. You want a cookie?
Yeah,
Did you ever feel like this game
Tennessee
was in
just took
doubt?
care of business.
I mean, do you want to celebrate Tennessee? Now, Jeffrey, I know you watched this game. This might have been the best game. Had a couple, but this could have been an Elite Eight game. Gonzaga was not an 8 seed.
No, I mean, based off talent, Gonzaga was way better than St. Mary's. St. Mary's beat them twice in the regular season, had a good year, but Gonzaga at their best was better than St. Mary's. And we saw it here because
Mm-hmm.
I was pulling for Gonzaga. Like I picked Houston. I mean,
I was
obviously I
too.
picked Houston to go to the Final Four, but with the whole IU thing, Sampson, I mean, kudos to Sampson, you know, coming back to basketball, doing as well as he had, but it's still a tough situation with IU and getting fired and all that. It's just a joke. But I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
pulling for Gonzaga. I was like, come on, Mark Few, beat him. Like he had him, man. They were this close. They fought hard.
Yeah.
And they fell short. And it's
Houston
like,
tried.
it is what it is.
And here's the thing, too, Jeffrey. Houston was another team that tried to give this game away. Like, if you watched it, Houston tried to give it away. But LJ Cryer, he single-handedly won this game for Houston, in my opinion. Like, he had,
Yeah.
35? He had, 35 and 8 threes. He was on a ridiculous heater, too, that night. Khalif Battle, Nimhard's brother, Ryan Nimhard. No, Andrew. It was Andrew. Okay. Make sure I got the brothers right. Andrew Nimhard. I mean, he had a lot of open shots. He just didn't take them. And I know they said on commentary that's not in his DNA. He's not a big shot taker. He's more of a passer and facilitator. I feel like if he would have taken more of those shots and threatened Houston a little more, Gonzaga could have won this game. That's just my opinion. You may disagree.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. I mean, I felt that Houston, this game kind of was an antithesis for them. They're normally known as an elite defensive team. And it felt like in this game, Gonzaga kind of sped them up and kind of had the game going their way. And that's why it was higher scoring, typical more so than typically what Houston does. And Gonzaga overall played very well, but they just didn't seize control. They didn't, the chances that they got, and they had chances, they just didn't finish the deal, and that's the sad thing. They were so close. I agree with you. You know, Nemhard could have done a little bit better. Ek tried. He played hard. But I think a couple of Gonzaga's players fouled out too, if I recall, and that hurt as well. But man, they played hard, they played well, but unfortunately they just fell short. I think
Internet's messing.
Yeah, I think someone said in the chat earlier that thunderstorms are heading your way. I definitely hope you stay safe on that, man, because there's some rough stuff I've heard about in the center of the country. So hopefully you'll be good and don't lose your internet.
It's all good. I'm back. We're good. Okay, let's finish strong. Yeah. So what were you saying about Houston Gonzaga?
I was just saying that Gonzaga, to me, took Houston out of like their element of playing defense. They sped them up and were playing very well on offense. Like Houston typically doesn't give up that many points, and I felt that, like you said, Nemhard didn't take advantage of certain situations that he could have. Ek played well, but I think that I think if I recall, a couple Gonzaga players fouled out, and that kind of ended their chances.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, and we'll talk about it a little bit here in a minute. But Houston could have been beat a couple different times in this tournament. McNeese and Purdue once again flexed their muscle, did Purdue things. I mean, do you have anything to add, Jeffrey?
Nah, I mean they were lucky to play a double-digit seed, but even if they played Clemson, they would have won. I think that they got a favorable matchup in the first two rounds.
I mean, good job, Purdue. Illinois, Kentucky. I mean,
it was an all right game, but I mean, Illinois didn't really threaten either. Kentucky was mostly in control.
Tennessee, UCLA. Good game. Tennessee, UCLA. UCLA made a run, but Tennessee, it never seemed like it was in doubt. They had control.
And Tennessee just snuffed it out. I mean, they just played better on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, it just seemed like one of them games where UCLA kind of made a jump, but then it was like, nothing came of it. This Houston-Purdue, what a Sweet 16 game.
Purdue had a great shot to win this game. They played hard. I mean, this was just the perfect grinded out type of game, right? You know, unlike St. Mary's Vanderbilt, where it was just ugly, this was your grinded out game. Both teams played hard. Both teams were trying really hard, but it was kind of ugly as well. And it had all that if that's the type game that you're looking for. But that game at the end, though, with Houston, man, running that out of bounds play, just there you go. I mean, that was perfect drawn up play. You can't beat that. The execution was perfect. And it ended a Purdue season. But this game was fantastic. I will say, though, that's why a lot of people, we're going to get to it, but a lot of people think Houston's the best team. Houston's had to escape twice. So they're good, but they're beatable.
Yeah, they're very beatable. And like you said, the out-of-bounds play, you couldn't have drawn that up any perfecter.
Incredible, man.
And here's the thing. Purdue defended it really well. Like even Coach Sampson even said that was almost a perfect defensive play because he even said that was going to LJ Cryer in the corner and they stuffed it out. But then JoJo Tugler was able to find Uzang under the basket and Purdue didn't account for the out of bounds man. And they always say on commentary, you have to account for the out of bounds man. Always.
And Purdue so many people forget that. So many teams just completely forget about that guy, the out of bounds player. It's like all you gotta do is throw it in and kick it back to him. It's so common and they forget.
Yeah. And this game too, I'll say this. There was a lot of plays that could have gone either way. I mean, there was one play where it went off Houston clearly, but they gave it back to Houston. There were some iffy calls. Um, Purdue, I mean, they were getting a lot of fouls called against them. Not that that's an excuse, but it was a very
It was
the way.
shocking too that was the case, considering the fact that it was an Indy. Yeah, you
Mhm,
felt like maybe Purdue would have gotten more of the calls. But yeah, it definitely seemed like Houston got more of the calls. So
mhm. Yeah, and that was a pro Purdue crowd too.
oh
I
yeah, it was heavy
barely,
for Purdue.
I don't think I heard many Tennessee fans at all.
It
Or
felt
not
like it was a
Tennessee.
Mackey game. It felt like it was at Mackey. It was crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, there was some Houston fans, but not as many as Purdue, which
Mm.
was to be expected. This game, Kentucky, Tennessee,
I
another one
had
of them.
so many Kentucky fans talking crap because I picked
Yeah.
Tennessee. They were like, "Jeffrey, what are you doing? You picking Tennessee? They choke. They never win. We're going to the Final Four." And I'm like, uh, Kentucky, good team, but they got some injuries, and Mark Pope is his first year. I think Tennessee's going to win. Tennessee
Hmm.
dominated. This was a disappointing game. I think it was more no shade on to Tennessee because they did play great. But I think this game more speaks volumes to Kentucky. I think Kentucky just played bad. They played a poor game from start to
Hmm.
finish. And even though, yeah, the injuries, this game, to me, see, the difference between Iowa State and Kentucky is the fact that Iowa State, the injuries that they suffered were enough to kind of cook them, like make it where they're just nowhere near as good. Kentucky's
Hmm.
injuries, they were still a good team. They were still winning games. And Lamont Butler did return too. They only really just didn't have Jackson Robinson, which he's a good player. But I don't think even that would have helped Kentucky in this game. They just didn't play good in this game. They just had a bad game. They just had a bad game.
Yeah.
It happens. You could be an elite team and just have a bad game. We saw the Zion Williams and your Duke, Reddish, Barrett just losing a game just flat out of nowhere when people thought they were going to win it all. It happens. This was just a bad performance by Kentucky. No other way you can slice it.
Yeah. Tennessee had control of this game. It never felt like Kentucky had a chance. Meshack, who was the SEC, I think, Defensive Player of the Year, was all over their shooters. I mean, this was over before it started.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
then every Alabama's fans holiday. Houston, Tennessee. Jeffrey, I
15
know.
points at half.
Yeah. Thus ruining my bracket because I picked Tennessee to go to the national title game. So thanks a lot, Rick Barnes.
They had a good year. I mean, again, I think we can kind of take the choke label off Tennessee. I mean, they used to lose in the first round every year. So at least for Rick Barnes' sake, they have been going further in the tournament. But man, they got destroyed. And I felt
Mm-hmm.
Houston would win this game because I felt their length would kind of like with Bama would do with Sears. You know, just he's small. He was going to get outmatched by the Duke length. Houston's length got to Ziegler. He
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do anything. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, Lanier didn't have a great game. He kind of hit some shots, but didn't have a great game. Gainey, all right. I mean, and they just didn't do good, man. I mean, they just they missed free throws too, which like even if they had to hit all their free throws, they still wouldn't have won. But like they just didn't hit anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This never felt, excuse me, never felt like a game that was in doubt. I always felt like Houston was going to win,
Oh yeah.
even though I was rooting for Tennessee because they were the last thing holding up my bracket because oh no, we can't have a nice bracket. We just can't have that in March now. Oh no no no. But I digress. I digress. But yeah, this was just an awful performance. Uh, Congrats to Kelvin Sampson on going to his second Final Four. I think it's his second, isn't it?
It's his second at Houston, but it's his third in his career because he did it once at Oklahoma.
Yeah, but it was one of them games that never seemed out of control. Now over to the West region. Oh, crap. That was not supposed to
No,
happen. We're all good. Hey, this is what happens when it's live. We've got people going in and out, and we've got brackets going loose. It's all good.
Yeah, we're all good, man. Technology, it happens, man. Like you're sliding to the left, and then it just completely swipes off the tab. I've had that happen before. It's like, why are you doing that?
It's all good. We're still here. We're still making it work. Okay. Florida, Norfolk State. I mean,
Destruction.
Florida flexing their muscle. Yukon, Oklahoma.
Oklahoma did not play good. Terrible performance.
No. This was one of them where Yukon, like we said, was going to flex their muscles, show their championship prowess. And Jeremiah Fears played okay, played a C+ game, but he needed to play his A+ game. Yukon kind of did their thing.
We both picked UConn because, again, Dan Hurley, we felt he was going to win one at least.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, man. I told you on this one. This was the other one. I picked BYU, and I was like, even though I was trashing the Mountain West, yeah, I did. I trashed the Mountain West because they kind of freaking sucked outside of New Mexico and this Colorado State. I don't know what happened to them, but they were cooking with grease at the end of the year. They won like 10 in a row. They were on fire. Yeah. Memphis, did you see how they were playing late? I know they did all their damage early, but they lost to Wichita. Barely won the American tournament. They were skating by. I was like, Colorado State's going to win. And I saw Memphis lost to Florida Atlantic 2 years ago in their first round. 2 years ago. And that was a choke job at the final play of the game. I'm like, Colorado State's winning this game. And a lot of people picked this, but more people picked Memphis than I was shocked because Colorado State was favored. It had to be one of the first times in history that a 12 seed was favored to beat a 5 seed. Colorado State was favored, but a lot of people picked Memphis.
Here's the thing. PJ Haggard, nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he had that incredible run through the American tournament. Absolutely. Where are you at? Nowhere to be found. And then, like you said, Colorado State was like, I think, 1.5 better. And my thing is, too, Penny Hardaway always chokes these games away. I don't know why I picked Memphis. That was a dumb. I should have listened to you on that one. But it's okay. And Colorado State, their star player, Clifford, he's really good.
Should have made the Sweet 16.
We'll get to that. But like you said, I think Memphis got a little overhyped.
Mm-hmm. They did. I really was shocked they were seeded as a 5. Like, because I know they beat good teams early, but lately down the stretch, I understand that every team has a bad game or so. Like, even the best teams, like Bama, had a bad game against Missouri. But, like, Wichita's not a good basketball team. And Memphis lost to them. And in the tournament, they almost lost to them again. And they were struggling. They would be favored by like 25, and they were winning by like 7 against all these teams. Those are red flags. You know, like a lot of people look at games like, oh my gosh, it's a pick 'em and you win by 4. Wow, you overperform. It's also about when you win. How much do you win by? Like if you're favored to beat a team by 30 and you win by 10, that's a red flag. You're supposed to win by more. That's why you're favored by that much. And Memphis just wasn't impressing me. And the biggest Achilles heel for Memphis all season long was their defense. They were not a consistent defensive team. A good defensive team. Because it just seemed like no effort. It's like, oh, well, we're talented. We're better than all these teams. We can beat them just with our sheer talent. No, that is a horrible mindset, and it bit them in the butt against Colorado State.
Agreed. And this was one of them where you tried to warn me, and I didn't listen, and it bit me big time. I give credit to you, Jeffrey. I really do. Next year, if we do this next year, whoever Memphis is playing and you pick against Memphis, I'm going with you. I don't care. They could be playing.
If we're wrong, it's like I don't care. Like I'm not picking Memphis.
They could be playing the Sisters of the Hood, and I'm going to pick the Sisters of the Hood. I mean, that's where I'm at. Maryland Grand Canyon.
This game disappointed. Like Grand Canyon, I wouldn't say it was like an upset pick. Like not many people picked it, but
You almost,
we thought
not to
this one
cut
would
you,
be close.
Jeffrey, you were flirting with picking Grand Canyon, but I think I kind of talked you out of it because you were like, Grand Canyon did upset uh, uh, Texas under Shaka Smart. And you were like, no, that was Abilene Christian. Abilene Christian. Who
Grand
was it,
Canyon
Grand?
beat somebody. Who did I? Yeah, it's hard to remember sometimes. But yeah, I know they beat somebody.
And I remember you were flirting with it though, because you were like thinking Maryland, they're other than their two best players, they're not really a deep team. And you were kind of, but I even told you I was like, I think Queen and Reese, the 2-man game's enough to get them through this. And I think they took that personal, Jeffrey. They hurt us and took that personal.
They beat St. Mary's last year.
That's who it was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then they lost to Alabama in the second round. Yeah.
This was a demolishment.
I thought about it because Grand Canyon, did it last year, and like Bryce Drew, like they got a good fan base, and Maryland, I thought they were a good team, but still didn't think they were like elite or anything or that impressive. But yeah, glad I did not. That would have been a horrendous pick. I mean, I wasn't like seriously like, but it was just like maybe. It was, I entertained it. But I'm glad I didn't pull the trigger because that would have been awful. This one right here, man, I wish that we had to pick Drake. I almost did. Now you want to talk about almost pick? I almost picked Drake. I was like,
I did too.
Yeah, but Drake don't win. They always make it, but they don't win, right? It was like they don't win. Missouri played well, all that. They beat Bama. That was like our big argument. Like they beat Bama, like whatever, shouldn't have done it. Missouri obviously is the same thing. They freaking choke, man, because they did it a couple years ago. They choked as well. I think they did win their first round game, but then they lost their second round game because they played a 15 seed. Well, it was at Princeton. They lost to Princeton in the round of 32. It was like, how do you lose to Princeton? 2 years ago. I don't know, and man. Drake, like, Missouri they sucked in this game. They sucked.
Yeah, Drake slowed them down and took Missouri out of the ball game because Missouri's a team, fast paced, energy. And they kind of slowed it down, took them out of it. And they were able to do just enough to get the win. And I'm with you. We should have, but we didn't. We gave Missouri a little more respect. We thought Dennis Gates was going to get this one. No. Texas Tech, I mean, this game really was never in doubt.
Yeah, the final score looks decently close, but it wasn't really in doubt. They were in control.
And of course, when we don't pick Calipari and we trust Bill Self, look what happens.
We had to pick Kansas though, right? I mean, like this is a game that I don't feel bad picking it. Like it's Bill Self. Like, did we really think they were going to lose in the first round? I mean, obviously, like next year, if we pick Kansas and they lose again in the first round, then maybe we need to have some conversations. Like, yeah, maybe Kansas is. They're not the same anymore. Like Bill Self, they're just not as good. They're losing early. But as of now, with all of what Bill Self has done, and even recently, I really don't legitimately see how we could have picked Arkansas, especially considering the last time John Calipari was in the tournament was last year and they lost to Oakland. It just felt like, yeah, they're going to choke. They're going to lose. And I will say, and you know what I'm about to say, KJ Adams got hurt. And Kansas was winning this game until he got hurt. We'll never know. But what if he doesn't get hurt? Kansas maybe wins this one. After he got hurt, the game changed because I don't know what happened. Kansas just fell apart. Dickinson wasn't doing anything. DeJuan Harris, like KJ Adams was playing great. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we'll never know, but I don't feel bad for picking Kansas. Like, unlike the Drake, Missouri, like there's some games where you're like, darn, I should have picked the other team. It's so obvious. This one, I don't feel bad about picking Kansas. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll live with this, but there's a part of me that's mm, like if, like you said, if KJ didn't get hurt, and plus Kansas couldn't hit any shots late. I mean, it's one of them I'm going to shake my head on, but it's Bill Self. It's hard to pick against him. St. John's, Omaha, for the first half, it was really close, and then Rick Pitino made adjustments. Yeah, Rick Pitino made second half adjustments and then flexed their muscles.
And the way that you felt probably with Oregon when you picked them to go to the Final Four after their first game against Liberty, this is how I felt against Omaha. I'm like, St. John's wins by 30. They're cooking with grease. They're great. They're going to go to the Final Four. Yeah.
Look says it all. Florida, UConn.
This was interesting. UConn legitimately pushed them.
Yeah. UConn pushed them to the limit, and Dan Hurley, I don't know if you saw it or not, but Dan Hurley in his post-game presser was legitimately, he was upset with the officiating. Mm-hmm. He thought the officiating was against UConn. They were cheating him out of it. I mean, here's the thing. Mr. Hurley, much respect and love from both of us, but if you go 8 minutes without scoring a basket, what do you expect to happen, my guy?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to justify that. I agree. I mean, they did put up 75 still, even with that drought, which is honestly impressive. But yeah, I mean, I can understand his argument. I mean, couple calls that you could claim, but you could do that in any game. I mean, I do it all the time. But, Indiana would have won, but it's Mackey and Purdue got the calls. I mean, you do it in any game. It's like, all right, but you know what? What if Indiana had done this, and Mike Woodson had done this, then they would have won. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, like UConn, you can make the case. Calls, could have gone their way, whatever. But also, UConn could have just done better and won. Too. I mean, because they legitimately had Florida on the brink. And now Florida's playing a lot better again. But, I mean, they could have lost. I mean, this would have been the big upset here if Florida lost.
Well, here's the thing, too, Jeffrey. The thing with UConn is if they would have won this game, I would not have been shocked. Just for the fact of their championship pedigree.
Would have been shocked. It would have been surprising, but not shocking. Two different words. It would have been surprising, though. It's like, yeah, like UConn had not, because everybody was kind of clowning on it, especially the Seton Hall game. I mean, they lost to Seton Hall. I still can't believe they lost to Seton Hall. I mean, if we're talking about Seton Hall last year, yeah, okay, Seton Hall is pretty good. Seton Hall this year,
they're dumpster.
They're one of the worst teams in ever. I mean, they are horrible. Like, they suck. Legitimately, DePaul was way better. DePaul. Like, Seton Hall was bad. Like, legitimately bad. And I feel bad for Shaheen Holloway because I actually think he's a pretty good coach. We saw what he did at St. Peter's, and he had a good year last year at Seton Hall. I know they missed the tournament, but I think they won the NIT, right?
Yeah, Seton Hall won the NIT.
They were pretty good, but then this year they lost all their players. Kadari Richmond left. They lost Dylan Adewusu. They lost everybody. And they suck.
They kind of had to start from scratch. It was one of them things where they kind of had to start from scratch. But back to UConn.
Yeah, I got off track. But yeah, UConn lost to a legitimately horrible team in Seton Hall. And it was like, yeah, people faded on them. I mean, there were even like people saying, are they going to miss the tournament? I mean, they were on the bubble for a while. So.
Well, and that's the thing, too. Before we get to this next game, is they pushed them. But Walker Clayton Jr., which we'll get to here in a minute, once again,
shots.
It doesn't matter how bad of a game he's having. He rises and shines for the big ones.
He's why they're in the Final Four. Single-handedly. I mean, he just hit big shots. I mean, unguardable shots. Like shots that nobody should realistically hit outside of pros. He hit them.
He's literally, when you talk about a big game player, you're going to see his picture in the dictionary. He's that guy. He's a gamer, legitimately. This game here, Colorado State, Maryland.
Was it a
This,
travel?
well, let me set it up first before we get to that. Colorado State with the play call and the draw up of the year. What a shot. A 3-point shot for the win, and then Queen banked off glass, fading away. I mean, this might have been the best game of the tournament. I know we said that a lot tonight, but legitimately, this was a fun game. I mean, it was big shot after big shot. Um, was it a travel? I
Yes. To me, it was.
I would say yeah.
And I agree with Jason's point. Appreciate you being here, Jason. Yes, but it was hard to tell in the moment. Plus, what do
Yeah.
you always hear? You can't make that call with that much time left, which is why I get mad when you'll see like 0.5 left and they call a foul. Because if that's the case, it's like, if it's like, oh, there's 1 second left, that's why we didn't call this foul. Well, how come in this other game there's like 1 second left and you call this foul? You got to be consistent. If you're not going to call stuff with 1 second left, then never call it. But the thing that sucked to me was how obvious of a travel that it was. It was so obvious. Like, he got the ball and he dribbled once at the top of the key, and then he took like 4, almost 5 steps before he shot it. Never dribbled. And then Gene Steratore, the rules analyst, former ref, he was on there and he was like, well, it looked like Queen kind of bobbled it or whatever. And that, negates a travel. If you bobble the ball and you regain control, then it's not a travel because you don't have the ball. I don't agree that he lost control. I felt that he had the ball the whole time. He was walking with it. But it is what it is. I mean, game could have gone either way, and it did go either way, Meg. I mean, Maryland, it went their way. If he misses, then Colorado State wins. But I just hated for Colorado State because, honestly, I mean, they were one of the hottest teams in college basketball down the stretch of the season. I mean, they wouldn't even have gotten in the tournament if they did not win the Mountain West. Like, you see, they're a 12 seed. They would have not gotten in the tournament unless they won the Mountain West. And they did. They won like 12 games in a row. They had a horrific start to the season with a lot of bad losses, which hurt their resume. And then down the stretch, they won like 12 in a row. I mean, if you base a tournament off of like, oh yeah, we're gonna seed teams based on their last 15 games of the season, Colorado State probably would have been a top 3 seed. That's how great they played down the stretch of the season. And Maryland ended up, they were a good team this year. They were a really good team this year, but which it sucks how it's going down for them losing Willard the way they did to Villanova, but they had a really good season. But for Colorado State to basically should have won this game, that's how good of a team they ended up at the end of the year. I mean, Colorado State was hot down the stretch. They played so well down the stretch this season. And, heartbreaking loss. That's all I can say.
Yeah. This is one of them games. They deserved a better fate than what they got.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible game. Props to Queen for hitting that shot because that was not an easy shot to make.
No.
That's a shot that the pros make. So I give all the love and respect
even
in the
with
world.
the travel, which in the NBA he would get away with it too because they never call anything. I mean, LeBron takes 10 steps and they don't call it travel. So, I mean, it was a great shot. I mean, like I said, if he misses, Colorado State wins. I mean, it was a thriller. It just sucks it went down that way. And I mean, I in a way I do agree with Barkley too because he said after the game like, oh well, we have all these replays and you got all these people sitting on their couch watching the game and they see the replay and it's like, oh, this was a travel. And yeah, it is hard to make the call in the moment. I understand that the refs don't have the same camera, like the big screen TVs looking at these replays and stuff. I get that, but still, it was a travel. And it sucks because I felt Colorado State deserved to win, but alas, it wasn't meant to be.
There we go. That's the thing, too. Like you said, my biggest pet peeve is if you don't call that at the beginning of the game, don't call that at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. That's where I stand. Like, if they call that at the beginning and they call it at the end, good. I want consistency is my thing, Jeffrey.
Mm.
I could care less if they call it with .1 or if they call it with 17 minutes to go in the first half. I just want consistency. That's all I
Yeah, and
want.
I don't see consistency. I mean, for example, one of the worst calls in basketball is the block charge, and it's getting
Mhm.
worse. I saw in this tournament alone probably 15 charges that were guys standing completely straight. He did his
Mhm.
job. He didn't even move, right? The guy just levels them. Block.
Mhm.
And then you're like, well, we're just feet inside the arc. Nope. How's that a block? Like
Mhm.
he's standing like this. He's completely straight. He takes the full blow, and yet you're calling a block. And then you'll see a guy like going sideways or whatever, right? And then the dude blows down. Charge. And it's like, how's that a charge? He was moving. And they're like, oh, well, he
Mhm.
extended the arm. It's like, oh my god, like the block charge call just sucks. It sucks. It legitimately sucks, and the refs are getting worse and worse at calling it. Honestly,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even go for a
And
charge
push off.
anymore. It's not even worth it.
And here's the thing, Jeffrey, push-offs, they're even worse. A guy will literally have his hand and go, bam, and the ref will let it go.
Yeah,
But then the offensive player will literally hand check and they'll literally be like that or put a little elbow, and then the guy will be, whoa! And then you'll hear the whistle, and I'm like, really? He just literally elbowed him in the gut and threw him to the ground, but no whistle. But you're going to
yeah,
call
it's so
that.
frustrating. I can't stand the block charge. I mean, and honestly, it's always been to me like the Big Ten and trying to think of another conference is bad. The Big Ten just sticks to me, but like the conference, just the officiating stinks. But then it's like when you get to the tournament, it's like, yeah, March Madness, it's officiated better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really feel that this March Madness has been officiated that well. I mean, I don't think it's been egregious, but there's been some bad calls, I will say.
Mm-hmm. Well, then we've got the West Sweet 16. Maryland, Florida, never really in doubt.
Nah, I mean, Colorado State probably wouldn't have either. I think the UConn game, it was a wake up call for Florida. It was a wake up call. They saw that game like we got to do better, and they would have beat Colorado State as well. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they definitely were like, yeah, we almost just blew our chances against UConn, so they weren't going to let that happen again. This game though,
Mm-hmm.
Tech and Arkansas. This and again, broken record.
Oh,
One of the best
hold
games of the
on.
tournament. One of the best games of the tournament.
Hold on, Jeffrey. Hold on. We got to acknowledge the other two. I know you're excited. Hold on. Drake, Texas Tech. Want to say anything about that?
Oh yeah, we skipped these. Sorry. Yeah, I was already moving on to Tech. I don't even want to talk about Arkansas St. John's. Drake, Texas Tech. This game, Missouri probably would have got beat too. I mean, your
Yeah,
pick of
Tech was.
Texas Tech making a run wasn't a bad pick. Texas Tech was a good team. Good team.
I mean, that was my best pick. They made the Elite Eight.
Drake, good team, but yeah, Drake just isn't built to go far.
Mm-mm.
They're just not
It
built to beat
showed.
it. They're built to beat a team like Clemson or Missouri, but not built to beat Texas Tech.
No, too physical, too strong. It showed. They were way overmatched. Next.
Yeah, Arkansas
Arkansas.
St. John's. I was shocked on this one.
Now, Jeffrey, this was one of your Final Four picks that went kapooey. What was going through your head
Well, I
watching
was
this?
shocked because again, I thought like Rick Pitino. I mean, he's got St. John's back. They were like 30-4. They were the best team in the Big East. I thought that they were gonna go on a run. I mean, I was grasping at straws a bit, picking them to make the Final Four because I mean, in hindsight, should have picked
Mm-hmm.
Florida. But I was like, you know what? I think St. John's will, they'll make it. They'll get there. And if they had made it to the Elite Eight and lost, like Michigan State did, I'd have been like, you know what?
Not a bad pick.
I picked them to do it, and they got close. But then they lost the round of 32. This was my worst pick because honestly, my other picks weren't terrible. Alabama lost in the Elite Eight. Michigan State lost in the Elite Eight, and then I picked Houston. So I mean, my two picks went to the Elite Eight. This was the bad one. St.
Mhm.
John's did not go far, and I was shocked. I thought Kansas or Arkansas wasn't going to pose a threat. But in hindsight, though, St. John's, the two things that they sucked at, shooting,
3-point. Mhm.
three-point shooting, and free throw shooting, and it's like, that's not Final Four material. So,
And here's the thing too, Rick Pitino benching his superstar after a
shocker
bad
move. I
shoot.
don't get that.
And here's the thing too, he was having a bad game, right? And we're gonna get to Tech, Florida here in a minute, and then we're gonna make our Final Four championship picks and head out for the night. Um, Lewis Jr. was having a bad night shooting, wasn't playing well, and then he benches him, and I'm like, you can't do that because then it makes you lose confidence. The player thinks you lost confidence in him. You cannot do that. But he did it, and it cost him the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't know if he hadn't have benched them whether they would have won. It's a what if. We don't know because he did not play well at all.
Mm-mm. I
But
mean,
he's like 3 of 17 from the field. Like, he had an awful game, but at the
yeah,
same
it was
time,
bad.
like, yeah, he's part of the problem that's dug you into this mess, but he's probably going to be the best option to dig you out of the mess. Because, I mean, he took him out of the game and no one else was doing anything. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
what if he maybe hit a couple shots? You know, it could have changed the tide of the game. But, I mean, the other thing, St. John's missed their free throws. They missed their free throws. It's like, what have I been saying about Indiana basketball for a decade? Don't hit free throws. If you don't hit free throws, teams that hit their free throws win so much more than teams that don't. It is unreal.
Yep.
When you see a team and they're like 12 of 12 at the line, or 15 of 15, or 20 of 21, that team's typically winning
Mm-hmm.
because they're taking advantage of all of the opportunities that they're given. And when you're like 11 of 19 at the line, that is so many points left off the board. So many points.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing too, Arkansas, Boogie Flan, John L. Davis, they kind of learned at the beginning of the year. If you watched Arkansas, they all individually tried to lead the team and be superstars. But like Cal said, he finally got them to understand we is greater than me. He got them to understand that. And you saw it in these two tournament games. They were unselfish. They took turns. It showed as they went down the stretch. And I got to give credit to Cal for that because some players are like, it's me, me, and me. But he was able to teach them, hey, it's we, it's a power of a unit. It's not just me or you.
I agree with that. Great assessment. I mean, that has been a major issue under Calipari teams because the way he recruits, bringing in all these 5-stars, all these one and done type players. I know they don't have as many this year, but still really talented guys that they're making a ton of NIL, all that kind of stuff. The culture just, even though that they make it seem like they're a team. I mean, literally, Kentucky had Shane Sharp, who never played and was driving a Porsche for a year and making over $1 million to not play. I mean, that's a garbage
And
culture.
Portland.
It's just garbage.
And Portland took him in the top 20, I think.
He was like the 7th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, like culturally, just not great stuff that's been going on at Kentucky with Cal and out Arkansas. But I do agree with you that over the season they did become more of a team on the court. And I don't know if they did off the court, but on the court they played a lot better. And and frankly, their best performance of the entire season was when they beat Kentucky. But Calipari had them ready for that game. They showed up.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, let's
Yeah.
beat Kentucky. Like, let's beat Cal's former team. And some of them played for Kentucky and they transferred. Like, they wanted to prove.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, it was a consistency problem. It was, that ended up costing them in their next game. But in this game, though, they definitely showcased that team, mentality more so than they had before. And St. John's, honestly, just they struggled hard. Did not play well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Now, Jeffrey, we could talk about Tech, Arkansas.
This game,
I would say, yes, this is probably the best game. And I know we've said that multiple times, but we legit mean it. I
This
mean,
game was insane, Austin. I mean, did you see like Arkansas? They had it. I was like, oh my god. I was even like, Calipari's going to the Elite Eight, isn't he? Like, I think I was live. I think I was live with Will or something. Jackson.
You
I was live
live
with
with
Jackson. I'm my wrong person. I was live with Jackson when this game happened. Thanks for telling. I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to the Elite Eight. Calipari, Revenge Tour, all this, people are hyping it up. They keep showing Calipari's wife and daughter, and she's crying and all this kind of stuff. It was just getting crazy with that, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, he's really gonna do it. They're up like 10-15, whatever, with like 5 to go, and then they choke. They just choke. They fall apart. They can't hit anything anymore. And then Texas Tech, man. When Texas Tech tied the game with a 3, I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to win. And Texas Tech ended up winning by 2. What a game, man. But Arkansas, like, even though I was pulling for them to lose, I feel bad for their fans, though. Because that's a heartbreaking loss. Like, they had it, man. They had it in the back. And at the last available moment, they just stopped playing. If they had just choked with a minute less left to play, they won. But they choked with too much time left. They choked with enough time to help Texas Tech have a shot to come back, and boy, did they. Incredible. Right now, Austin is muted. I'm sure he will be back soon. But, yeah, this game was just unreal, honestly. It was unreal. To me, it was one of the best games of the tournament. I mean, you could make an argument best game. There was a lot of great games, though. But this game just baffled me. Because, again, I wouldn't have expected it to go down like this. I picked Tech. I picked Texas Tech. But when Arkansas was up by as much as they were, I was like, they're going to win. Cal's going to do it. And it was so funny. It was hilarious. Because, I mean, I had Cal losing in the first round. It looked like he was going to do it, but he ended up falling short. So Texas Tech did a good job coming back.
And here's the thing, too. To add to your point, my thing is Williams. He didn't play that good, but he made the shots at the end.
That 3.
Yes. And here's the thing. Let me ask you this, Jeffrey. Do you foul there? Because that was the biggest debate. Do you foul there or let it go? Because they were talking about it. Should Cal have fouled up 72-69? They were like, should he have fouled or should he have just let it go, let it play?
It's such a tough thing to say because what do people always do when something doesn't work? They're going to say you should have done this. I mean, what happens if you foul? Just say you foul, Texas Tech hits both free throws, then Arkansas goes to the line, misses both free throws, and then Texas Tech wins on a layup. Then you're going to be like, oh, my God, you shouldn't have fouled. The foul method can work, but it doesn't work if you miss your free throws, or what if they miss and then they get the rebound? There's a lot of things that can go wrong when you foul. Whereas with a 3, you're down 3, you just have to guard the three-point line. Hope he misses. Don't foul either. So honestly, it's just whatever works, like if what you decide to do works, no one's going to question it. I mean, you see in football all the time, oh my gosh, they went for it on 4th and 1. They go for it on 4th and 1. They run a QB sneak and they get it. Great play call by the coach, but they don't get it. Dumb play. Why did he go for it on his own 30? Oh, they faked the punt and they got it. First down. What an incredible play. Oh, they faked the punt. The punter he overthrows it. And it doesn't, it's no good. Or he gets or they do it to the what do they call that? It's not coming to me right now, but the guy that's in front of the punter, it's like that. It's not the halfback, it's a running back, but you know what I'm talking about.
The long snapper.
The long snapper, yeah. Like the guy snaps it to the guy behind right there, and then he gets the first. Oh, great play call, but he doesn't get it. He gets stopped. It's just, if something works, then people are always going to say it's great. If it don't work, then it's like, you should have done this. That's just human nature. So
here's the thing too, Jeffrey. And if Williams misses that 3, That's not even a conversation because
No.
Arkansas likely gets the rebound, they foul, and Arkansas is playing Florida that Saturday.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
here's
him
the
hitting
thing.
that three single-handedly kept him in the game because if he misses, it's over.
And here's the thing
It
too
should have never
is
got to that point because Arkansas was up by so much, but they allowed him to come back.
and Texas Tech was missing their best player too, their best 3-point shooter too. Not a lot of people talk about that, but they were shorthanded. And here's the thing too, another controversial call in this game. Would you have taken the timeout after the made three? Because would you have taken the timeout or would you have done what Arkansas did and let it roll?
See, again, that's controversial as well because, again, if you call a timeout and you draw up a play and it works, then great play by coach. But then if you don't and you score, then great that he let him do it. It's hard. It's hard to say. I mean, typically I would say call a timeout to draw up a play, but the thing is that a lot of times you draw up a play and the other team knows your play because like how many plays can you run with like no time left? And number
Mm-hmm.
two, what if you turn it over, inbound on the ball, or a 5-second call? Again, a lot of things can go wrong if you call a timeout. Sometimes it's just better to let it play out. But then if you let it play out, what if you turn it over trying to hurry? It's basketball. So much can go wrong.
And here's the thing too, Jeffrey. And the thing was too, it was off the made basket that one Tech the game. Williams backed him in, turned around, and it filleted in. And a Boogie Flam ran the ball down all the way down the court, and he got a decent look, but he missed it by about that much. And everyone was like, "Oh, you should have called a timeout." And then there's people saying, "Well, you don't call a timeout because you got Texas Tech scrambling on defense."
Yeah, you
Here's
call
the
a timeout
thing.
and they're set. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of them bang bang plays. Because if he makes the shot, guess what? Everyone's like, Cal's a genius. He's brilliant. I told you Cal's a genius. But since he missed it, everyone's like, stupid Cal. Thanks, Kentucky. It's one of them things. Kind of
Yeah,
like
you
Tom
can't
Allen with
win. It just the play, whatever you do has to work. And if it works, then you're fine. But if it don't, then people are going to say that you should have done something else. It's just so tough. Being a coach is tough. I used to sympathize with them more, but now they make $10 million a year to be wrong. So it's like it's not that bad. Like if people are clowning you, it's like, well, I'm the coach and you're not. Back then, though, when I was younger, I used to kind of feel bad for them. People would just trash them over nothing. But now it's like they make a lot of money. They're fine.
hmm Well, and then our last game, and then we'll make our picks and head on out of here. Florida, Texas Tech. My Texas Tech pick should have been right. Should have been right. They had a 10-point lead, but once again, Jeffrey, free throws. They missed two 1-and-1s, back-to-back possessions, and Walter Clayton hit. He had a wide open layup, and he backed it out for a three and drains it.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. When you said earlier about Walter Clayton hitting impossible shots, that shot was in my mind. Like the dude literally was in the paint, and he just backs up. He just backs up, barely puts his toes behind the line, and just chunks up a three fading backwards. It's like, what are you doing? Nothing but net. Then next possession, nothing but net. Next possession, nothing but net. He just kept hitting shots, and they were not easy shots. Tech should have won. I picked Florida. Originally in my bracket, I had St. John's over Florida in this game, but we know what happened to them. So I picked Florida to beat Texas Tech. But yeah, I was upset. I legitimately was upset. I'm like, man, I wanted Texas Tech to win. They played well. They played very well. And those two front ends. I knew when they missed the two front ends, they were going to lose. I knew right then and there they were going to lose. I didn't need to see anything else. I knew Clayton was just going to keep hitting stuff. When they missed those two, because if they had to hit those four free throws, because you missed two front ends, it's like you're getting two free throws if you hit the first and then you hit the second. That's 4 points. If they hit those four free throws, they win the game. And what's so messed up about it is both guys that were at the line were good free throw shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Not like they were bad. I think one
That's
was
the
like
thing.
85%, the other was like 75%, and they both missed. So
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's like all it takes is that slim of a margin for a 10-point lead to turn into a Florida victory.
Mm.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And just like that, my national title pick is gone. Unbelievable. But we are here now. We are now officially going to make our 2025 Final Four predictions with Florida Auburn kicking us off at 6:09 in our first game in San Antonio. Jeffrey, kick us off.
Yeah, I mean, again, like we opened the show with, we have the 4-1 seeds. They're very, very predictable, you could say, but at the same time, these aren't traditional powers either. Auburn's not a traditional basketball power. Florida, outside the two titles, is not either. Houston's not. So it's just Duke. So I mean, that's kind of cool that they're teams we're not used to seeing, even though they're all one seed. So it's supposed to be predictable for this given year.
Mm-hmm.
People are really high on the favorites because the favorites keep winning. It's basically been the theme this whole tournament outside of, the few games, kind of like Arkansas St. John's. Like Hummus Hero said, appreciate you being here, Hummus, but technically was one of the biggest upsets. Other than a few upsets, it's practically been upset free. So Florida's favored in this game by 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is because of Broome. His injury, like people are concerned about that. Plus, Auburn has been a little shaky lately. Ever since Florida beat UConn closely, they've looked a lot better. Tech did
Mm-hmm.
self-destruct.
But here's the thing:
This game, the
is
thing that's
Walter?
interesting is that Auburn's better defensively than Florida, but Florida's better offensively than Auburn consistently. And I feel like it depends on what side of the ball wins out. But I want to hear your thoughts.
So here's my thing: Janai Broome, if he's healthy and his arm and ankle, his
Yes,
elbow and ankle ain't a hindrance, I believe Auburn's the better team
I agree with
because
that.
Florida's got. I think what helps Florida is they got two versatile big men who can block and shoot three. That really puts pressure on Auburn. The thing, though, is Walter Clayton. How many more of these ridiculous games is he going to have where he slumps in the first half, but then comes alive in the last 5 minutes? That's where I'm kind of at. And the thing with too is Auburn. If Auburn gets behind, can they stay with Florida? Because Florida is a team, when they get ahead by 8, 10 points, they could put it on in a hurry because they're that good of a team.
I don't disagree with you. Like none of what you just said there. I mean, because the thing that's so tough about picking games is
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of it is indicative on a player or like who shows up, what scheme works out. Because like
Mm-hmm.
Alabama, the 25 threes, could they do it again? If they could do it again, they're beating Duke and they're in the Final Four right now. They didn't do it again. And what you just said, Walter Clayton, essentially is the only freaking reason they're even here because he keeps hitting stuff like every game. He just step back threes, and I mean it's like, oh, Todd Golden's a genius. I'm not saying Todd Golden can't coach. I'm not saying that at all. Like I don't have any reason to believe he's not a good coach. But sometimes though, great player trumps great coach, and that's what we have here. Great
Mm-hmm.
player hitting just ridiculous stuff. Walter Clayton's hit about
Mm-hmm.
5 shots in this game. Not in this game, but 5 shots in this tournament that no one else has hit. The type of shot. It's hard. It's hard to pinpoint how difficult some of his looks have been. And he just keeps nailing them. If he does that again, Florida wins this game. But like you said, will
Mm-hmm.
he do it again? I have no idea. I can't say. I have no clue. Plus,
Here's
when
the
you
thing.
look at like who's been here before, neither of these teams have really been here before. The current players, Auburn's more so than Florida because Florida was not good last year. Auburn's been good lately, but they haven't been to the Final Four in years. But Broom's health and Clayton's ability to knock down insane threes. It's like if Broom's healthy, I think Auburn's better, but we don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing too. I'll say this is I feel like for me, when picking this game, like you said, if Walter Clayton, if he gets streaky hot, like you said, that's what, because like you said, it seems like he is what is keeping Florida upright. And the fact is, both of these teams have played each other once before. So there's nothing new with each other. They know what's coming. I believe Florida beat them though when they met the first time. Am I correct? Did
I
Florida win
think
the
you're
first
right.
game?
I can go back and look, but I'm about 99% sure that you're right. Let me see.
Because I believe
Florida.
Florida won the first game. Because I believe they played once. They know each other. This is not new. They know what's
Saturday,
coming.
February 8th, Florida beat Auburn 90-81. And that's it. You're right. One time.
So Florida has already beaten them once. And as we know better than anybody, though it's hard to beat a team twice. And that could be in the favor of Auburn. But the biggest question mark, if Janai Broom is not healthy, can his role players carry him along against a potent Florida team who likes to run? Do you want to pick first? Do you want me to pick first?
I don't know, man. It's kind of tough, man. I'll pick first.
You
I'll
know what,
pick
Jeffrey?
first. No,
Or
go
you want me
ahead.
to pick first on Houston?
You can if you want. I was gonna do it. But you can do it. You can do it. Go ahead.
You're picking Duke Houston first.
All right.
I think in this game, Janai, he's not healthy. You know what? I think Walter Clayton and Florida is on a hot run. Give me Florida. Walter Clayton Company, they're on a hot run. Give me Florida 92-85.
I don't know, man.
Come on, Jeffrey. I picked Florida 92-85. I think they've got enough outside shooting, and I think Broom won't be 100%, and I think his supporting cast will fail him.
Give me 1 minute. I gotta look at something though. Give me a minute. I don't know, man. I'm
Come on.
struggling.
Come on, Jeffrey. We need this for the views, man. Come on.
Man, my head's telling me my head is kind of telling me Florida, but my heart's kind of leaning Auburn. And I know it sounds hypocritical because I'm an Alabama fan, but I don't know. I kind of would prefer Auburn to win. I don't know why, but I kind of I don't know, man. It's just the way Florida's winning just bugs me. You know what I'm saying? Like they're winning just the UConn game, the Tech game. That Texas Tech game was garbage, like complete garbage. Like Tech had that game. Kind of like how Arkansas did, but it's Cal, so I'm fine with that. But Tech, Arkansas like had a game and Tech won, but then Tech had it, man. And Florida, I thought you were gonna pick Auburn.
Nope.
I'm not gonna lie, but you picked Florida, so now I'm like, what do I do, man? Because I want to pick Auburn, but I don't know. I legit. This is the game I don't know. I know who I'm picking in the other game. By the way, I got no problems with that game. I already know who I'm picking in that game. This game, though, I don't know, dude. I mean, you got Jackson picking Florida. You pick Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody pick Auburn?
I just feel like their shot making and their ability to run, and even though Auburn's bench unit has been hooping lately, I just feel like Janai Broome not being healthy is a hindrance, and Florida's
How
going to take
unhealthy is he? I
advantage.
mean, like, you remember the injury? Did he look really hurt?
Yeah, like like he couldn't lift his arm barely. It was that bad. Like his ankle seemed fine, but it was his arm. Like when he took a shot and he made it, he kind of was like, like you could see him holding it. Like that's not a good sign.
All right, you've. If they win, I'm gonna be mad now because I was gonna pick Auburn, but you've convinced me with Broome because if he's not all right, then again they're not probably gonna win. I'll go Florida 84-80. I was going Auburn.
Okay.
I was gonna pick Auburn, but I don't like the uncertainty of the injury. I don't, because if he's not healthy or even close to it, they're not going to win. And I've had this happen
Mm-hmm.
before where I've picked a team with injury and they
Mm-hmm.
lose because like he'll be fine, he'll be healthy enough, and no, I'll go Florida.
So
I was not gonna go Florida. I was gonna pick Auburn. You completely flip my my pick on
no,
that. I
don't
was
change.
gonna pick Auburn. So,
Hey, don't Jeffrey, don't change your pick because of me. This is what I'm
but I've
feeling.
done it before though. I've done it before. Like you've convinced me on a few, and I tried to convince you on a few before, and I was right, and on some of them I was wrong. Like I tried, I got you to change for High Point, and I was wrong, but then like I was like Colorado State's the way, man, and and it happened. So I mean, you could be right. I mean, the thing is that it feels like the smart pick, but I mean, something telling me, man, Auburn, because again, Pearl's been in this situation before. Todd Golden hasn't, but that was my argument. But Broome hurt. I mean, I don't know. I mean, because again, if he's not healthy all the way, they're not going to win. I mean, but you never know. I'll go Florida. We'll see. It's going to be interesting though.
And then our second semifinals game, which tips off at 8:49 approximately, you've got number one seeded Houston and number one seeded Duke, and probably a lot of people's probably the better of the two Final Fours. And I'll say this:
Are you confident in your pick on this game? Because I am.
Kinda. I'm
Kinda. Are you
85.
more confident on your pick in this game or the previous game?
The previous game.
See, I'm the opposite. I'm more confident in this one. I don't know why, but the Auburn Florida game, I don't know. And he almost tell me trust my gut. I don't know, man. That guy, I don't usually flippity flop like that. Like I'm usually pretty rock solid with picks. Like screw it, don't care. That game, I didn't know. I was gonna pick Auburn. That was my pick, but I had to change it, man, because it is what it is. We'll see what happens, but yeah, but this game, I am certain on this game. I could be wrong because the game might go the other way, but I'm pretty certain. But you're more cautious on this, and I want to hear why. I'm gonna pick first because you said what we agreed on that, but I want to hear why are you not confident on this game as much?
Because both teams play excellent defense. Both teams are smash mouth, can turn you over. And the thing is, too, both teams are rugged and they can hit you in the mouth. And this is going to be a chess match of coaching pieces because Kelvin Sampson, John Shire are like the coaches. They can smash you in the mouth, and you can. And I kind of feel like Houston has been playing the best basketball since they lost those 3 games in non-conference. And don't get me wrong, I like Duke. I think they're really good, but I feel like they're on a fluky type S run. They've gotten a lot of help within their bracket. I think there's flaws in their game. I feel like if Houston's going to have a game plan for Cooper Flag, I feel like Con Knipple, Proctor, the pressure's going to be on them. And I feel like in the big moment, bright lights, and Houston, LJ Cryer had been here before with Baylor, Emmanuel Sharp. I feel like Houston, this is their moment to seize the opportunity, in my opinion. I feel like this is their game. This is Kelvin Sampson's best chance to win.
Well, you haven't made a pick yet, but based on what you just said, I kind of think I know who you're picking. And okay. Okay. Well,
No,
I mean, yeah.
not to cut you off. I'm not saying Duke can't win or Houston can't win. I may flip on you, but here's the thing though. Duke can find holes in that defense because Cooper Flag is that special. And if Cooper Flag can get some three outside shooting and Duke can force Houston into some bad shots and late shot clocks, I think they can win. But go ahead.
My
Maybe you
thoughts
can
on
convince
this
me.
game. My thoughts on this game is that Duke, they're so much more than Flag. And whereas with Broom, we don't know if he's going to be close to 100%, right? Like that's the main problem. I was going to pick Auburn, but we don't know how healthy he's going to be and if he's hindered, whatever. Flag's fine. He's recovered from his ankle. He's fine. He like you said, he balled out for 35 in the other game. I mean, he's fine. But we saw Duke without Flag against North Carolina and Louisville in the tournament. And yeah, a little shaky against Carolina, but against Louisville, they were fine. And I felt overall, in a couple games this tournament that the teams did pretty well. The teams that played Duke did pretty well against Flag. But my Lord, the rest of the team, though, man. I mean, Proctor, Zion James, Malawach, Knipple. I mean, it just goes on and on, man. Even Mason Gillis, the Purdue transfer, like they got a deep team. It's just a deep team. And when Cooper Flag is on, it just puts that thing in a whole other gear. But when he's not on, it's like, all right, we got all these other dudes. Caleb Foster as well. I mean, it's insane. Like, the team is stacked. He also got Patrick Naganga, or however you say his last name. I mean, their team is deep, man. I've named like 9 dudes, and they're all impactful. Houston's good. Tugler, Cryer. I mean, I like their talent or their defensive oriented team. I like even though the Sampson stuff is frustrating, it's hard to like the team with that, but but yeah, I mean, watching them, I mean, they're a fun watch if you like good defense. But the thing that I've consistently seen time and time again with Houston, though, is that they can go on scoring droughts. Typically, their defense bails them out, but they barely beat Purdue, who I said earlier to me is not a great team. They barely beat Purdue. And who else was it? My brain, because it's like 1:20 in the morning. I'm getting pretty tired. So who was the other game? The Gonzaga game. That was the one game where their defense kind of failed them. Like they did not play too good in that one. The Tennessee game, their defense was excellent, but still that offense was kind of shaky. I don't know, man. Houston's a good team, but I think Duke's just better. I think Duke's better, and that's my pick to win this game. I think Duke wins this game 77-69. I think Duke wins.
So the one concern I have is Duke's bigs against Houston's bigs. I think that's definitely an issue. But Houston's so physical on the defensive and offensive glass. Jeffrey, you've almost convinced me to switch, but
I
you know
know
what?
I did. I had good arguments.
But there's something
Just like
that
you did
tells
making
me
me flip to Florida.
you almost made me flip to Duke, but I'm going to stick with my original pick. I'm going to pick Houston.
I should have stuck with Auburn then. We would have been opposite.
I'm going to stick with Houston. I think the Cougars get it done on Saturday, 61-58
Oh, another
over
low
Duke.
Hmm.
And thus brings us to our national title game. Florida against Houston for me, Florida against Duke for you. You want to start or you want me to start?
You can start.
Okay, so in my bracket, I've got Houston and Florida. I think this is offense versus defense at its finest. On full display, who's going to win? I think if this is the matchup that gets drawn, and Jeffrey, mark it down, I think it favors Houston. I think Florida's luck runs out. I think they're going to be Houston's going to be stingy, force them into bad shots, turnovers. I think this is the year Kelvin Sampson and the Cougars get it done. I'm picking Houston to win the whole thing 65-53. I think they beat Florida by double digits.
Out of the 4 teams, you picked the team I want to win the least. I do not want Houston to win at all. I mean, again, I have a reason. But if he does, congrats. It should have been at Indiana, but congrats to Kelvin Sampson if he gets it done. Still don't want it to happen, though. But
I don't want Duke to win, so we're even.
yeah, I don't really want Duke to win either. I mean, Carolina's rival, but it is what it is if Duke wins. It's just something about Kelvin Sampson getting that title. He should have got it at IU, man. He should have got it at Indiana. Instead, we're still sucking wind. We can't even make the tournament. You know what I'm saying?
So,
it's rough here, man.
So you've got Florida Duke. Who's taking home the title for you?
Florida, again, great offensive team. Walter Clayton been on a heater, all that kind of stuff. You know, they got good bigs. They got, a great team overall. Todd Gold's done a great job with that team and that roster. But again, Duke's length and Duke's just talent and depth, man. It's just I'm shocked to even say it because usually Duke chokes, but they're not doing it. Like they've been dominant. They've been winning games. They just keep beating everybody. The games really aren't that close. I don't know, man. I think I think Duke wins it all. I originally, before Broom's injury, Auburn was my pick to win it all when Alabama lost. I was going to pick Auburn. But since I changed to Florida, I'm picking Duke.
So
I don't want it to happen. Honestly, out of all the teams, I probably would want Auburn to win the most. And I know that sounds crazy because I am an Alabama fan. I don't really want Auburn to win, but I kind of would want Auburn to win the most. Florida Duke is about even. I don't really care. I guess Florida less. Like if they win, okay. But I don't want Duke to win either. But I really don't want Houston to win.
So here's the thing. Last thing, and then we'll promote ourselves and get out of here. Who's your MVP? If Duke wins, who wins the MVP?
Cooper Flag.
If Houston wins, I would give it to Cryer. Yeah, I'll give it to Cryer. They'll probably give it to him.
Yeah, it's like even if Flag is like 18 or whatever, and like 10, and like Knippel's got 22, they're gonna give it to Flag. You know what I'm saying? They'll give it to Flag.
But that's our picks. I've got Florida, Houston. Jeffrey's got Duke, Florida. He's got Duke winning the whole thing. I've got Houston. We'll have to see.
Who do you want to win the most? Does Houston the team you want to win the most? I mean, if it is, like, I understand, like, you don't have an IU connection, so it's like, I get it. Like, No, it does, so it doesn't matter. But is that the team you want to win the most?
Honestly, I want to see Florida win.
I wouldn't be against Florida either. I just don't like how they kind of come out of nowhere, though. Like, while Auburn, it took time to build, and Alabama, it took time to build. Florida, I mean, like, I know they were good with Donovan, but that was like 15 years ago at this point, and they had the 1 year with Chioza in like 2014. But since then, they've sucked, right? Like, they've been bad. And then now out of the blue, they're suddenly elite. Like, what happened? It just kind of rubs me a little wrong. Like, you didn't have to have a slow rebuild. Like, people say that Austin, if Indiana's a 1 seed in 2 years, people say the same thing. Oh, Indiana came out of the blue. I don't want it. Well, I would, but that's me. But they'd be like, this sucked. Like, they were nothing, and now they're a number 1 seed. Boo. That's kind of the way I feel with Florida. Like, you came out of nowhere, Florida. Like, why? You were nothing a year ago, and now you're – why? But if they win –
so
all right. Florida or Auburn. Honestly, Florida or Auburn are the two that I would be, I guess, the most okay with. So whoever wins that game, I really don't want Duke to win, but I think they're going to win. Legit. But I don't want them to win.
Unfortunately. I mean, I'm with you. I don't want Duke. It'd probably be Florida, Houston, Auburn, Duke would be my order.
You're kind of pushing me almost to say Florida number 1 over Auburn. I kind of like Bruce Pearl. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like him, but I kind of like him a little bit. I don't know.
I mean, it's going to be interesting.
I really don't want any of them to win. This is not who I wanted to win on any of it. I know it's not for you. I mean, you wanted Louisville. I mean, I did not let I did not, outside of me picking Bama to win the whole thing, that was obviously biased, but they had a shot. Didn't happen, but I didn't let who I want to win out of these teams influence who I picked. I mean, that's a good thing. Like, it's not like, oh my gosh, no Duke, no Houston, so I'm not picking them. Like, no, I didn't do that. But I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, at the end of the day, whoever wins is fine. I mean, if Houston wins, I mean, you'll have to hear for the rest of the time that Kelvin Sampson won a title somewhere else, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's like I was like 4 years old when they fired him, so it's no big deal, I guess. Whatever. Still annoying. But for Duke, though, if Duke wins, I mean, UNC, like, I will say that kind of blows, too, because look at this. This was 3 years ago. Y'all remember when Brady Mannett locked down Paulo Banchero, good times. Yeah, we suck now, Clint Moses. UNC, we suck. UNC sucks. Indiana sucks. And Bama's now good. What happened? Bama was the sucky one. Now the only team I like that's good's Bama. Carolina and IU are terrible. Louisville's better than Carolina and Indiana now. Like, the world's just upside down, man. It's upside down.
The world's out of order. The world's out of order. But it was a fun look back. I mean, hopefully our picks pan out. I'll say this.
Regardless, I'm excited about the games, so can't wait to watch them.
They are. And Jeffrey, now it's time to promote ourselves, I guess. You want to go first? Since it's your show?
Definitely can. Appreciate that. So I'm glad we got to do the show. I was a little worried we wouldn't be able to fit it in, but even though it is late right now, but I had time tonight, so I'm glad that we were able to fit it in. And appreciate all you guys for being in the chat, too. You guys made it awesome as well, but definitely glad we were able to do it again because it's so fun talking about March Madness. Can't believe it's almost over. I'm sad about that, but it's been a fun tournament and excited to see what happens in the Final Four National Championship game. But definitely you should be seeing I'll have the shorts out. I've been doing shorts for all the games. You'll see my Final Four shorts. Well, I'll either try to clip somehow a minute segment of what we said out, or if not, if it's too difficult, then I'll just do a quick short, just doing the same score that I just said, because we talked about these games for like 20 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to be able to edit a short out of that. That'll be kind of hard, but definitely I'll have shorts coming out for both Final Four games and the next couple days, and probably more portal videos. I'm trying to, I'm busy all the time. I'm trying to fit some portal videos in. I've done a couple already. Jackson, I put it, one of them in the chat. I appreciate that. Connor Enright transfers Indiana. Indiana got a soul. They have a soul on their basketball team now. They have somebody, which is crazy. That's unbelievable. I never would have thought they would have had one player on their team. So that's pretty cool. And I also did a video talking about Cadeau going to Michigan as well. But there'll be more videos on the portal and other stuff as well. So definitely, if you haven't already subscribed, definitely would appreciate it to check out more of what I have coming up down the rest of college basketball, so like the season and the off season.
Well, I'll say this. You find me on Sports Talk with Austin 2002, of course. In a couple weeks, the NBA playoffs start, and won't make no promises, but I'm going to see if I can get him along for another one, because that was always fun. We'll see if I can work my magic, because I would love to get Jeffrey's take on the playoffs. We'll see. We won't promise anything, but if Jeffrey's up for it one more time, I'm going to pester him one more time, and then I'll leave him alone. But especially then. But so be on the lookout for that. That possibly me and Jeffrey might be back for the NBA playoffs. If not, I'll do it on my own. I might cry though. Don't look. But definitely I will try to sweet talk Jeffrey, and we will be back again. And this was fun. And I'll keep making my videos. And I appreciate you all. And hopefully we will get this. Hopefully these will be good games at least.
Yeah, whoever wins, hopefully they're competitive, fun, great, non-controversial, unless you like controversy. Depends on the controversy. If it's like foul calls, I don't want that kind of stuff. But like, certain other things that, dramas can be okay, but not too much drama. But hopefully the games are just good old-fashioned fun, and be excited to see what happens in the national championship game as well.
This was fun. Appreciate y'all for being here. Special thanks to Jeffrey for making time. Always fun. And enjoy the Final Four, and we'll see what magic we can work up. Like I said, I might be able to convince this little knucklehead to do the NBA playoffs with me. May do it 2 years in a row. We'll see. But no promises, though. No promises. But with all that being said, Jeffrey, take us out.
Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Again, like the streams down below, whether you're on Sports Talk with Austin or my channel, Only Talk Sports. Thanks, everybody, for being here tonight. Subscribe to the channels if you're new. Like the streams, all that kind of stuff. Share that on social media. And definitely, if we can be back for the NBA, that would be great. Hopefully, we can do that. That's always been fun as well. It's not March Madness, but it is fun. But thanks, everybody, for being here. And I hope all of you guys have a great night.